It's 7 p.m. It's Friday evening, and I hope everyone's well. Make sure everything is in line, making sure all the sound is together. Let's see. It is 7 p.m. It's Friday evening. It is the 9th of July, and we survived Independence Day. Let me take my hat off. You like the coordination? I know you do. It's kind of fly, ain't it? It's good. It's all good. I'm wipe my head too. Hoping everyone's been well, having a productive week, having an outstanding experience in this thing called life. So I know too many of us out here aren't having such a splendid time, and this is the new norm that too many of us are having to live through. Start off with a couple things that I want to make sure I highlight in discussion. So for any of you who are paying attention or considered, you're looking for things in general. Let's see. Things have changed a little bit over on Facebook, and YouTube seems to be okay. But I see some more toggles and buttons that seem to be available. I want to make sure that I'm good. Anyway, let me know if you hear me as far as the camera is concerned, and if everything is good. I'll continue going. Anyone paying attention right now? Anyone who is on? I see someone else is on. Please let me know if the audio sound is good. Make sure everything is groovy. Make sure. Let me go into my own audio sound. Okay, cool. All right, seems like we're good. Let me go back. All right, folks. Well, welcome to the show. This is the New Norm 2.0 with Mo Delgado. I'm your host, Mo Delgado. It is Friday. It is the 9th day of July in the year of our Lord 2021. This is the classic term, and I was wondering, need to look into that. Who actually started that concept in the year of our Lord 2021? Because I don't know. I think it's more our year than the Lord's year, but that's opinion. Ain't really got to do anything. But let's talk about some latest things that have happened this week. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but let's talk about some particular things that may have transpired this week. And if you have been paying attention, Sha'Carri Richardson, the phenom in the track and field world, was recently tested some week post her Olympic trials, or the finals for Olympic trials, where she obliterated the 100-meter race and was threatening the 200-meter and 400-meter race. Well, the unfortunate truth is that she was found to be tested to have marijuana in her system. For those of us who understand how the rules are, the Olympic Committee suggested that marijuana is something that they banned. It's not that it's enhancing, as they say, a performance-enhancing drug, but is a drug on the don't do list. And one of the obvious truths is that the Olympic Committee seems to be antiquated with their systems. They need to do, as so many people have made noise about, they need to do an update to it. They need to be realistic, and then they have to do an updated, let's say, an evaluation of their whole testing system, because there's a lot of performance enhancing drugs that may be available that's not even on that list anymore. And so, to be fair, in this amateur sport concept, and it's only amateur here because other nations pay their athletes, but in this potential for it to be the final showdown of all the super athletes in the world to compete to represent their nation, we want to make sure that the playing field is level all the way around. However, we know that that's a discussion that's still going to be had, and there's some national discussion that are starting to develop right now. So we'll see as the Olympics go soon. Um, Japan, Tokyo, where the Olympics are supposed to take place July 23rd, had made an announcement. The Olympic Committee said now there'll be no spectators allowed in the arena wherever the sports are being held. No one will be allowed except for cameras and camera crews to televise it around the world. So this is going to be the first time the Olympics have ever gone under these conditions, and we will see. From a national standpoint, here in the United States, because of what happened to Sha'Carri Richardson, there is a national push. There's a campaign to boycott the Olympics. So I don't know how productive that could be in a national standpoint, unless all of our athletes wouldn't participate. Then there'd be a different story. But us as viewers, I don't know if we can make an impact, but let's keep Sha'Carri Richardson in our spirits and our thoughts, because basically what she made the claim was that her mental health at that point in time was in question because she had just recently found out her biological mother. She had found out from a reporter asking a question instantly about her biological mother passing away. So it was something that she didn't know at all, which some of us like to believe that may have been a really bad choice by that reporter to do so. But as we know, sometimes people digging for news want to cause chaos so they can get the first dibs at exploiting you. So we don't know what the situation is, but we'll continue to keep her in our prayers. She's still, to us, the fastest woman on the planet. And until they can prove otherwise, Sha'Carri, we're going to see you at the next race. Moving forward, as we said, the Olympic Committee has now banned any viewership in person at the Tokyo Olympic Arena. So we'll see how this goes on. Will it impact future Olympics? I'm pretty certain it will. However, let's case in point, there's some other new sports that will be visible. Let me get the list of it. There's going to be a whole new arrangement or sports that will be taking place this year, 2021. Skateboarding, surfing, sport climbing. Those are okay. I'm trying to get the rest of them. Let's see if I can find the total list. But skateboarding, of course, it's a huge sport all over the planet. So we'll see how that goes on. I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to see how it ties in. But the other sports, surfing, karate, sport climbing, skateboarding, baseball, and softball. They were Olympic sports in 1990 and 2000, but the International Olympic Committee voted to drop them after 2008 games. So softball and baseball are returning to the Olympics. Okay, cool. But surfing and karate. I always thought that karate or some form of martial arts, I know jiu-jitsu and taekwondo, things like this are part of the Olympic, the list of the Olympic sports. But now karate and sport climbing, that's going to be interesting. And skateboarding, of course, and surfing, which, oddly enough, I am a fan of surfing. I really like surfing. It's a beautiful, tranquil sport to watch. I'm not as avid about the people who participate in it, but I love the views of the ocean. I love seeing how surfers tackle these oceans and do amazing things on their boards. So it's just something that I enjoy to see. It's a creature comfort of mine. So we'll see. Sport climbing, skateboarding. I'm ready to see a lot of that skateboarding stuff. It's cool to see, there's a lot of love in that community. And I'm pretty certain that'll continue at the Olympic arena also. So it's good to see. So that's what's new as far as the Olympics concerned. Now, pardon me. I don't know if you noticed or if you paid attention. In latest news, the president of Haiti was assassinated. Jovenel Moise was assassinated in his home overnight in his sleep. His wife was wounded and she was taken over to the hospital. It is said that a team of hitmen, to lack of other terms, comprised of Colombian nationalists and other representatives of other nations, including the United States, Haitian American, naturalized Americans, were part of this hit team to take him out. As more and more information becomes available, the more we can tell about this, other than this is an international plot, it appears, because of the how this team of hitmen that were found and arrested, and there's still 8 members of this team still out on the run. So they're going to be looking for these from an initial international level, because it's not only an interest now just solely to the Haitian government, but all surrounding governments, including the United States. The Department of the DEA have been aggressively involved in this whole concept because of international trafficking has been involved. Also, the way Haiti has been focused on or been fed upon by international predators here and there because of all the tragedy that Haiti's had recently. But there's so much attention now being had because this could actually be part of a larger criminal situation that needs to be looked at. So as more and more time goes on, let's keep the people of Haiti in our prayers and our thoughts. They've suffered so much, so long. As one brother had seen, I had just recently saw a report. He basically said, in history's sake, on this side of the hemisphere, no other country has faced as much hardship as Haiti has had, and had to face some of the atrocities that they've had since them declaring their own independence, where the brave Toussaint Louverture fought against the European settlers at that time, or European colonists, and was able to place Haiti in a situation for independence. Sadly enough, France put it upon Haiti and says, well, we're going to give you independence, but now you owe us for all the money that we've lost or will be losing because of the manufacturing that took place in Haiti that benefited Europe, and slavery there also. And in doing so, it created a level of poverty in Haiti that still to this day impacts that nation. So let's keep our thoughts and prayers for Haiti, and let's just keep abreast of things, because there's something bigger to this whole story. We want to see how this unfolds. Of course, Haiti sits on the island of Hispaniola and shares it with the Dominican Republic. And there's a great concern by that nation also, and Dominicans also, because of any unrest that happens on one side of the island also impacts the other side of the island. So as we go on, let's just keep them all in prayer, and hopefully we'll find some peace on Hispaniola so people can continue to strive and live a prosperous life. God bless them all. Moving on, I wanted to touch bases a little bit about some information I just recently heard about the vaccine. It is said that the Pfizer vaccine, Pfizer itself, is starting to develop a booster that is going to work specifically towards the defense of the Delta variant. This is the new boogeyman on the block. It has become the most absorbing, most horrific element or strand of this SARS-CoV-19 virus. And it's being marketed that way. I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever seen, matter of fact, I know I haven't seen as much scary determination or scary marketing with Ebola as I'm seeing with SARS-CoV-19 Delta variant. So they're really pushing this. And so soon Pfizer will make it available, the booster. And of course, as information has already been had, is that Pfizer and Moderna are trying to create instead of an injection, to have it in pill form. So people would be less likely to um, shy away from the potential of having this booster. And we already had reports to suggest that these shots, the 2 shots that you've had to make you vaccinated, is good for multiple years. So with this questions: is it good for a couple years, but still make you susceptible to the Delta variant, or is it not good for a couple years and this booster is just going to help you get to the point where they thought you were in the first place? Either which way, stay informed. If we get more information, we'll share it with everyone as we go along. Um, in further news, if anyone's been paying attention to the hurricane, Elsa just came by our general area of South Jersey and just made a little bit of a mess, but not as much as it's damaged or hurt or wiped through other parts of our nation. Saw videos a little earlier about some boroughs in the greater New York area that were flooded, and they've had water, I say about 2 to 3 feet tall, rushing through the streets. And I think it was Long Island and Staten Island may have been affected. Those same areas that were affected before when Superstorm Sandy came through our general area. So we don't know until this point in time. We don't know just yet what type of damage it's had, but it is said that Elsa had already claimed 1 to 2 human lives in its path up the East Coast, going through Virginia and up now through New York at its present time. And we're still going to see how it goes. In saying that, we have to pay attention because we are now in hurricane season, and with this new flux of hot or high pressure that's coming in from Canada, that's the vehicle behind the heat wave that the West Coast has had, and the drought that they're suffering for through right now. These are important factors that are impacting us throughout the United States. It's a big influx of pressure that's coming from the Canadian borders and Canadian region. Is pushing any air down, and that's what helped. It actually encouraged Elsa to make a hook as it came up the coast and hit Cuba and it hit the west coast of Florida. It hooked over to the East Coast because it was following the rim of pressure that the Canadian hot pocket or high pressure system was creating, was blocking. But if you're paying attention, this heat is still impacting a major portion of the United States now. California, the governor, Gavin Newsom of California, has requested for people to voluntarily take a 15% decline in usage of water to help them, to help one another get through this temporary drought. We've seen how a place like Lake Mead, which is right outside of Las Vegas, that holds the major source of water being used in Arizona and Southern California, it's already declined. The water levels are right there, already declined 5 to 6 feet. That's amazing, 5 to 6 feet. And in some areas, they say up to 10 feet of water have already diminished and it's fallen. It's gotten to a point where it's critical, where they suggest at one point in time, Lake Mead was a destination for a lot of recreational use, boating and things. And now they're telling you, boat at your own risk. The places where you're able to launch your boats may not be available to you any longer because there's no more water. And, be careful of what you do, where you go. So lake water is extremely important, or the reservoirs that are available in that area. Lake Mead is also a source of electricity for a major portion of that grid. They use hydroelectronics in their dam system. And that right there helps electricity to be able to be accessed through the southern west coast of the United States and the southern border. So right now, because of the lack of water pressure, now there's potentially a loss of access for electricity. Not to say that they're going to have a blackout, but it also just means that they have to divert more of a necessity from other means and other sources of electricity than they would normally have through the hydroelectronic system that they've had there at the dam, the Hoover Dam. So there's a big impact when it comes to this. So while you're out here and enjoying yourself in the summer, in the pools and what have you. Just keep that in mind. It's extremely important. It is the one resource that I think it's so well exploited, outside of clean air, that we don't necessarily appreciate as much as we should here in the United States because of the luxuries and the way our society has provided water for us. But in other nations, they only wish they had it as easy as we do. So just keep that in mind, folks, as you're enjoying your summer, as temperatures still at a pretty high level. We just recently saw a report say June is the hottest month in on record for ever. So global warming is some real shit. Global warming is happening. It has happened. It's going to continue to happen. But we have to play a bigger role to ensure that we put a cap on global warming and help to eliminate the risk, eradicate our own mistakes, um, in increasing this. Leaving a carbon footprint has a major impact on the the climate. Some of the things that we talk about climate, they're impacted by, of course, automobiles or gasoline engines, fossil fuels. When it burns, the byproduct goes in the air, helps to block it creates a decaying ozone layer. Aerosols that we use in cans, that affects it. Oddly enough, cow poop. Cows create methane. Methane goes into the air and becomes extremely dangerous. So it's oddly enough, I'm starting to think that maybe beef, maybe we need to just do away with cows, period, all the way around. And this is not to offend the steak lovers because I like my steaks too. I like my ground beef. But if it's killing us when we are digesting it, if it's killing it because of the byproducts of its digestion in the air, maybe we need to consider these things as we move forward. But that's a source of carbon footprint. In addition to some of the other factors, plastics that we're using, how they're now trying to utilize high pressure, high temperature burning systems to recycle and create new uses for um, waste that we've thrown around. There's actually a floating island in the middle of the Atlantic that is plastic. It's bottles that they found, and it's almost as large as Madagascar, the island or the nation of Madagascar, and it's floating around, and it's up near Greenland. Um, just so you know, Amber Alert. If anybody's paying attention, this is an Amber Alert. Let me see if the camera can pick it up. I will read it out to you. 2-year-old Sebastian Rios, a black male, suspect his father, 27-year-old Tyler Rios. The vehicle is a silver four-door Ford Fiesta with the license plate W421713. That's whiskey 421713. Last seen in Rahway, New Jersey. Again, this is an Amber Alert for 2-year-old Sebastian Rios, so, a black male who's suspected to be abducted by father Tyler Rios in a silver four-door Ford Fiesta, whiskey 421713. So if anyone sees this vehicle or sees the child, I wish we had a picture of it. Please alert officials immediately. And we pray that nothing happens to either Tyler or the son. It's sad how things have gone in our society today, where families have to go through these drastic situations at times. Um, but what was I saying? Let's go back to the conversation. Uh, so, um, damn, I lost my train of thought. Lost my train of thought. Forgive me, y'all. Just had a hiccup there because it's important. When Amber Alerts came about, we have to be as adamant as possible to make sure that we share this information all the way around. The Amber Alert system is set to protect our children, and that's a hell of a great resource that we have. I just wish we had more systems to protect our children in areas and in atmospheres where they're supposed to be protected, where they're supposed to be considered safe zones. Things happen. Things have happened too often by people we would hate believe choose to do so, and we find out that they do. So, whatever you have to do, please stay adamant and paying attention to your children. Um, Children are snatched up within a blink of an eye as people lurk around corners looking for an opportunity of seeing a child on their own outside, unattended to, playing, and they can snatch them up and, you know, take those children, those beautiful gifts away from you. So, whatever you can, do not leave your child outside alone, unattended. Pay attention to where your child is. Keep them behind protected areas, fenced areas, if possible. And if they have to be on the street, if you live in a dense urban community and it's on the street, make sure that you somehow, some way, be the barrier between your child and whatever's on the street and whoever's walking around. Pay attention to your neighbors, pay attention to the community. Anyone that's in your area that looks suspicious, please alert the officials, the law enforcement of their whereabouts. It's just a protective matter. And if it's a nuisance to you, then maybe you're part of the problem also. So just pay attention, folks. It's extremely important that we consistently pay attention to our community and the children around because they're our treasure. Um, Let me see. There was another fact I wanted to talk about recently. We talked about the vaccine and the ongoing pandemic, Delta variant becoming the big 800-pound gorilla in the corner that's being discussed and being pushed. There's so much information now being pushed about the Delta variant, and it causes a lot of us a lot of fear and anguish about this situation. Um, the nation itself hasn't been totally vaccinated. They said some excess of 30% of United States residents, citizens of the United States, have yet to be vaccinated for whatever reason they choose to or choose not to. However, what we're seeing now is also privileges and entitlements being provided for those that are unvaccinated. Just recently, the CDC made a report suggesting that schools with teachers that are fully vaccinated and students who are fully vaccinated don't have to wear masks. So the question sits, what about those children that aren't vaccinated? For whatever reason, it could be health concerns that they can't be vaccinated. Could be issues because of religion. Whatever the situation is now, they'll be placed in a situation where they can be ostracized. They can be belittled and made fun. Sometimes children are very unkind, sometimes cruel. Is that a factor enough to really reconsider this whole move? I don't know, but that's a discussion that should be had. Um, as we move forward, you'll see different things. The infamous vaccine card is being held like it's a brand new titanium black card, unlimited potential for it. And it's oddly enough something that people are starting to push, even mass duplicate and have it available in the black market, per se, for those who are looking to dupe society and believing they're vaccinated and they aren't. Um, it's really sad how this has become an economy within itself. What I mean is, the companies that created this vaccine made millions of dollars to create this vaccine. The testing to find out if people are sick created money or potential monies for millions of Americans or millions of officials or people in the field of medicine to test. Um, the printing companies that print all this information available so you and I can read and be readily availed information as it comes about made millions of dollars. The companies that had PPE, personal protection equipment that made millions of dollars on this um, this illness, the SARS COVID-19. Um, so this created an economy within itself. And now, in the situation is going, it continues going because these companies, as we mentioned last week, there were 7 companies worldwide that are reputable and have created vaccines and have been adopted in their regional areas. Pfizer, Moderna being the 2 largest, and of course Sputnik is the nickname of the Russian one. Excuse me. I need a drink of water. So those areas are now competing to see the most um, easily accessible form of the vaccine and the most accessible means of distributing this vaccine. So as we go along, pay attention to this stuff because you know it's one thing to be very concerned about being healthy. We all must, we should. As we see a spike in travel, people who have been going um, just on edge, the mental health has been in crisis mode, feeling cabin fever to the umpteenth degree, and now the ability to be able to travel where they want, going on a plane, they're going all over the place nationwide. So now planes are now starting to require you to be vaccinated, to come on the plane and be, before you get on the plane, you have to show that you've taken a COVID-19 test to find out if you have it. You have to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated to have it, and then you have to have that information available to some of the destinations that you want to go to. So it's, in some instances, additional stuff that we must do in order to live in a manner that we like to live. However, it's now just adjustments that need to be made so we can prosper and live better. So whatever it takes, y'all, just do it until we can find and do better. However, I'm still going to say, be intelligent, um, be educated. Don't just follow the leader. Don't just be sheep in the world. There's lots of information to help you understand what it is they're injecting in you, because it's not only the chemical, it's the carrier. It's not only the carrier, it's the binders. All these different chemical factors inside partake in becoming this vaccine. Um, there's so much still unanswered, and we're so hopeful that this protects you. And I'm one of many that are hopeful that all this works out, because the last thing we need to do is bury more of our people because of something that was suspiciously found, which a lot of us believe it was man-made, genetic warfare, gene warfare, viral weapons. It's a damn shame how the world has become militarized, and millions of people all over the planet have had to succumb or suffer from it. And we just got to do better as human beings as we move forward. Um, Another discussion that I wanted to make sure I brought some attention to was, as the weather came through Florida, one of the biggest concerns that Surfcity Florida was having, the site of the collapse, um, they immediately had to demolish the rest of the building because of the weather coming in would have potentially put the entire area in jeopardy because of flying materials, and then the potential of the building collapsing further onto the other building, the adjacent buildings. Um, but we find out more and more information from the building itself. There's a lot of reports, a lot of videos prior to the pool deck. Pools on top of the building. Pool deck apparently collapsed hours before. Sometime, I ain't gonna say hours before. Sometime before the full collapse, and water was found. They had video remnants before it happened. The details in the reports, all that suggests what it is, and that has created not a funnel, but it's created some mobility nationwide for that type of occurrence happening all over. You know how the world is comprised of, um, well, internationally, populations are more dense around water, around areas that are water. So around the ocean side, around the bay side, whatever. That's where the majority of larger urban communities or cities um, are located all over the planet. So those are the areas now that are starting to take a lot more interest in the infrastructures of these buildings, how it's made, what it's comprised of, the security systems that may be available, and in trying to see if there's a link to it. Latest video I just saw showed the overhead drone view of the entire facility of the building itself, and it's It sits on it was one building, and it had a sister building that was two buildings over, built the same exact way, that apparently was made sometime after, and was okayed by government officials. But they saw how it was developed and the developer itself, and it's creating some sort of a tumbler effect into more stringent studies and evaluations on high rises, and in high rises that have potentially water or pools. And some buildings, some of us may be living in buildings that have pools at high levels. You may see your pool being closed, and it may be filled and restructured because of the potential dangers it has. We may, some of them may, and some may not. It really depends on how um, the buildings were developed. Remember, some of these buildings were developed with regular modern day equipment or modern day um, construction equipment, but some have antiquated systems. Remember, in areas where it's a high potential of hurricanes, tsunamis, or what have you, there's the ratio that all the buildings have to be built at a certain level for protection. So as it goes on, if you see more, if you're part of a municipal machine, don't consider it being a nuisance. Call it a godsend. This has awakened a lot of people who live in high rises. Remember, Florida is I would say, an epicenter or a destination for a lot of migration for our senior citizens and people who want to start a new life. And to hold that type of population, the majority of people live, or a large percentage of people live in high rises or mid to high rises. And if you go to the areas like Orlando, if you go areas like Miami and Tampa Bay, you see lots of high rises because of the density of the population needed. And housing technology, it basically is being shared in the same format and same ways. So it's good to be really pensive on moving forward and not thinking that this can happen. Just be very intelligent in your moves if you are planning to migrate down to Florida, or water, uh, any other location around the water or near water somehow. Just ask when was the last time that the building itself was being evaluated for structural flaws. Ask, is there a way that you can be made feel comfortable by reports, checking the infrastructure, the internal skeletal systems? What do they have in place to help with oxidation? Um, all those factors play an important role in making you feel comfortable. Because if you are, in essence, retiring to a community in Florida or anywhere else that you intend to, you want to feel comfortable. You think you've put in all the work that you needed. Now you want to just chill and relax, and you should be able to. So, whatever you do, just pay attention as we move forward. It's extremely important to pay attention to those things. We are, it is now 7:45, and I'm just getting notification that Adrian will be late on the show this evening, so you'll be hearing my voice. I'm going to try to hold it down for another 45 minutes, I guess. Unless you're watching the show and you'd like to come on, remember the this is the home of having a conversation where we all share it together. This is the new norm. It's the internet-based talk show that brings you into the conversation. Stop by and connect has always been our motto. If you're willing to just get more information, if you're just stumbling onto our show now, you are welcome to go to our website. It's www.thenewnorm.club, where we have lots of information to give you. We have a cyber mall where we share information there, and also resources and pointers for materials, items, purchase, goods. You can contract services, entrepreneurs that are interested, provide you high quality services. We're very adamant of supporting minority owned businesses, and that's probably the best location that you've seen in a long time, where you can get lots of grassroots, just startups and companies that are about to take a phenomenal leap forward in technology and what have you. So if you're interested, stop by there, thenewnorm.club. Um, we have always been a conduit for information. We've always provided a table so we can all sit at it and have a conversation with one another with our own opinions about different things in the world. Um, this pandemic has created so many opportunities for us, not only good ones, but some negative ones, also some really hard ones. Of course, the pandemic shut us in, closed our doors, kept us away from our loved ones, kept us away from human beings, and that created such a major dilemma with so many of us. It gave us cabin fever. It really tested our fortitude as a human race. Um, so the access that we were granted through technology and through the internet, the interweb, however you want to call it, gave us an opportunity to connect with one another. So nearly 2 years ago, friends of ours got together and we put on a format that we called the new norm because it was the testament of what we heard so much. There was so much newness in life because of the pandemic. So many things have had to change that we were virtually living a whole new life. So the new norm was erected. It was an opportunity for us to share our points of view, share information that may not be readily available to you in your immediate area. Like in where we live we're home based in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and we are deprived of a lot of information locally because our news sources are limited. And the ones that we do have, I think they're inclined to just show and expose information that they think will sell papers. And usually it's negative information or it's highlighting the negativity, crime, violence, murder, those things. The 11 o'clock hour news blast. This is the type of information that they were inclined to always sharing. So we tried to create a system to be able to share information with those of us out here who are just looking, whether it's local information about something that just recently happened, the outskirts of violence. If you were looking for food resources that were becoming more available for people who were suffering through unemployment, temporary unemployment, not having enough money to be able to maintain, to understand some of the uh, wording and finagling of the laws that had to be adapted because of the pandemic, being able to transcribe and translate a lot of this information for laymen's, so you all can feel comfortable with what's going on. Also, as the pandemic increased in its mobility, we wanted to inform you what resources were available, what is recommended for you to do to protect yourself and your family members. So we were there. We were able to share with you locations on where you can get certain supplies in the immediate area. We did that. We were able to share insight from professionals who worked in the medical industry to give you some understanding of its impacts, why to take the vaccine or why not to take the vaccine. It's always pros and cons about things. We wanted to make sure that we were a conduit of information from all aspects. We're not anti-vaxxers at all. We just want to make sure that you're as informed as possible, and we share information as it comes through. I know one time I got crucified, it seemed, when I shared information that was given to me from a database of testing. And because people were so irate and so sentimental and very, I guess, erratic and irrational at times in their way of responding to things, information, they thought, oh my God, how can you do this? How can you do that? And I told them, I said, this is just information. It takes all of us. We're all responsible in making sure that we look and sift through this information to find out what is fact, what isn't, what's relevant information, things to consider. Because this is the first time we've ever had to deal with this to this grand scale. The last time we saw something like this was the Spanish flu of the 1800s. And in this present situation, there were so many more details that were different. So we had to make sure that people were informed. So instead of always giving my opinion about stuff, I just rather just give data, information. And it takes you to look into it and find its truth. And if you didn't understand, say so, and we'll do what we can to be the mechanism of understanding. Because not all of us are familiar with a lot of the terminology, and then some of us are so skilled at the terminology we forget to actually believe that others might not. We've gotten to situations where people um, were very helpful in the chain of information, um, utilizing the vehicle that we were providing, and gave a lot of information. We've had people from as far out as the Bermuda Islands. We've had people from Texas, California, Seattle. We've had instances from people in the general um, Great Northeast call and contact us and been on the show, from the down south Atlanta, Mississippi regions come on be a part of the show. The show has been a wonderful vehicle for contact with many of us, and it's been really helpful. Um, the more and more as time goes on, I'm starting to realize how much this information has been helpful, and I'm glad to be able to participate along with my brother Adrian, who's been the vehicle and the push, sometimes the wind underneath my wings to keep it going when everyone else was flying away. He's like, keep it going. It's a good thing. We'll keep it going, keep pushing, and keep doing that. And we have. We're going to continue going until something happens. We're strongly in belief that this has a potential of growing to something wonderful. I've been saying this a long time. Maybe this could be a vehicle where him and I can sit back and maybe earn an income where we won't have to worry about anything else but what we're doing on the show, and then take care of our families, visit different parts of the world, start doing the new norm 2.0 in Greece, uh, new norm 2.0 in the Maldives, doing on-site location, New York City, Times Square, new norm 2.0. Whatever it is and wherever it is, hopefully this can become a vehicle so we can live a better life through it. And we'll continue to give information as it comes through. And we keep being a conduit because we know that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be the conduit's information. We have our own opinions. We always put that side, that disclaimer. Our opinions don't reflect the notions or the opinions of all people, and we don't necessarily give them to persuade anyone or in any such way. We just want you to understand information, and we share information based on how we understand it. So that's the new norm 2.0. And we say it's 2.0 because the new norm prior to, when we were utilizing another format, where we started at, it was pretty comfortable. However, we were running into a lot of technical difficulties, some limitations that we just couldn't surpass. Branding information, banners, the things that you see, the lower third is what it's called. The overlays that weren't available to us at that time. So we migrated over to another source, and this source has given us an opportunity to polish up our product a little bit more. As you see in the upper right hand corner, you see the emblem. So it's extremely important because it's nice to have this emblem that shows who we are. It's the new norm. That's us. And then as you see in the lower portion, it's the thirds. You'll see the banners and information of who we are. And then when people come in, you'll see the name available. So it's extremely important for us to be able to do that because it's brand. It's a brand and it's the show. So as we go on, I'm going to change this up. But folks, this is a voluntary thing that we've done. It has yet to create any dollars for us at all. We've been wanting to expand and to make things look better, but I guess we'll do it whenever God gives us the opportunity through whatever blessings coming through. But if you're interested, we have a vehicle that we've connected through Patreon. You go to Patreon/The New Norm with Mo Delgado. And there, if you're interested in showing some love monetarily, you're willing to do so, you can do that. Either a one-time shot or a more continuous donation that comes on. We're not asking for a whole lot, but at that point in time, you'll see the different scales, what we're looking to do, some of our to-do lists and our wish list that we have in moving forward. That's something that you'll see just about every content provider, content creator on YouTube and on Facebook has done the same thing. We're known to go longer than most people because that's important for us these days. Go a long time. You know what I mean? No, I'm just joking. We go on for Our set time is from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's longer than a normal internet-based show because we have so much information that we come across, plus the conversations that we have. We have a panel that sometimes comes on, and we're blessed to have a panel. We've had up to, I think, 13 people at once. I think 13 or 14 people at one point in time. It was crowded. It was loud. It was kind of confusing because we didn't have the moderating systems to prevent from people or talking over one another. But it was kind of cool to have so many people connected at the same point in time. To the point where now I'm at by myself dolo until my partner comes on soon, and then whoever else wants to tap on the show, as we normally do, as far as the um, the panelists. But it's good to have a resource like this, of course, because as the doors open, there's still opportunities where people are stressing, they're bugging, cabin fever gets to them, and they want to share their sentiments, they want to share their opinions, even if they just want to reflect on some nostalgias we recently seem to have done quite often with the panelists and our host and co-host reflecting on things from back in the day. And nostalgia is good things because sometimes we remember the good things, and it's it helps us to deal with the day-to-day BS and the day-to-day nonsense that we have to deal with. So being able to reflect on lighter notes and lighter times, it's a helpful thing. It's nostalgic. One of the elements that I know we were talking at one point in time and still trying to work on is the New Norm radio station. Um, the New Norm radio is something that we're looking to do. We're trying to provide music, our own like top 10, top 20, um, to play music along with having commentary, to having discussion about what we remember during the time of music itself, to have a discussion about the things that we loved about the music in that genre, to let it play, highlight DJs, sometimes how, myself being raised in the hip hop era, how music was sampled and how the origins of music sort of blow people away. Like I've never known, some people you'll hear something, and then now as you see a lot of the radio stations like Backspin or in Rock the Bells Radio, you'll hear excerpts of these DJs who are classic DJs from the early 80s, early 70s, play the original cuts, the breakbeats, where a lot of this information is being pre-produced and creates this modern sound now. So they'll show and they'll give America a taste of where it came from, and it's pretty fly. So moving forward, we like to highlight some DJs, local DJs, new DJs, um, because the DJs have been the backbone of radio for so long. So as we give information, we'll talk, have our no our regular news. Hopefully, it'll evolve into something that I know could be pretty cool, and I know my brother Adrian would really enjoy. He is. We joke around about him having such a large library of antiquated records and so on and so forth. But I guess I'm close to it. I have a lot of those old songs on disc, CDs, MP3s, and I got some wax. Yes, wax. So moving forward, that's one of the things that we'd like to see. New Norm 2.0, New Norm, the New Norm Radio, TNN Radio. So maybe we'll talk that into the universe and see it coming pretty soon. So we talked about expanding the reach, utilizing other media sources. Roku gives you an opportunity to have your own application. We were talking about developing our own phone app, utilizing on Android and Apple phones. We're looking to expand it now into regular podcasting because this is how we initially started. I had the equipment, bought all this equipment to do podcasts based on sound. So I understood that from the beginning, your sound quality should be the most important factor, second to lighting and the camera quality, which is they share the second slot. So as I got the proper equipment to get the best sound quality based on what I can afford, we started recording, had the ability to have it. Just never ventured into it because we found that the video playback was more of a a popular new creation method that was being widely seen on YouTube and in Twitch and what have you. So we took it and we ran with that because it was fairly young in the industry. So we're probably going to go back and do excerpts. It'll be portions or nuggets of the show, and we'll have it available on the regular podcast sources. Like you'll see it on Apple Music, um, StreamYard, and other sources where you can listen to podcasts. Those will be available. We're looking for it to be available really soon. So, yeah, that was just to talk about that. Um, just give me a second and we will continue. Okay, Gina, you watch this? I took music, rhythm, and blues the first half of summer semester. Now in music, 19, I've learned so much. It's crazy. It's cool. Really good to see. Music there's so much information when it comes to music. Uh, the genres of different music, how it intermingles, and how it speaks of the present situation at that time. Some of my favorite movies having to do with music. Um, one was something I like to watch every once in a while with Don Cheadle. He plays a disc jockey from Washington D.C. and I can't remember the title of the movie right now. Him and Chiwetel Ejiofor. Um, and this was a major character in history because the one-man radio show that spurned out from the jails that he was in, incarcerated, and then created a wave through AM radio and became the talk of the people. So much so when Martin Luther King was killed, he did a live broadcast um, with James Brown that quelled the issues that DC was having at that time. DC was burning, and I can't remember exactly what it is. Can You Hear Me? I think.
Yeah.
I think it's called Can You Hear Me? Can you? I think it's called Can You Hear Me? But that's just an element of music and time frame that really spoke of the time. There's so much information. Like right now, there is actually a movie that's soon to be come out that was produced. It's excerpts and curated by um, uh, a member of the world famous Roots Crew. It's the drummer. Um, he is the curator of this film that's coming up, and it's called the Harlem Soul Fest. And this is video clips of probably the greatest urban music festival that's ever taken place in the United States. And this is the first time where so many different artists came together to have this music festival. And it was never shown. They said this was locked up in some storage unit someplace and never shown until recently. So when Questlove is the producer, was asked to curate this, and he stumbled onto this. No one saw these video parts. So I'm looking forward to that production because that shows there's a lot of music from the 60s and 70s, and a lot of performers that may not have survived that era, that made such a large imprint in the time frame and spoke about the realities of people living in that time frame, and they never got the love and respect that they would do. So hopefully this will span out. I look forward to seeing that film really soon. I know it's going to be released in the movie theaters, and I'm looking forward to going to check that out. See Questlove's first film curating a documentary about music. So I know I enjoy a lot of films about music. I love Get On Up about James Brown with the amazing work that was done in that film. Um, the story with Jamie Foxx playing um, Ray Charles. It was so much music. Um, my man, the story of El Cantante, um, done by, um, oh goodness. Oh my God, I can't remember the artist. Anyway, there's so much music and so many musics. The Nina Simone story. There was so much information and music available from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It was an integral part of society and changes that America has gone through. Even Southern funk that came up, and you see the West Coast love that you saw out of Oakland that impacted the world. The creation of what we now understand as R&B came from soul music. Soul music, the rendition of gospel, and how Jamaican soca, Jamaican rhythms, um, together with salsa sounds and cool hurt, came this idea of what hip hop is known today. So, history of music is something extremely important. So, if we look forward, maybe New Norm Radio will be a vehicle that we can all enjoy, utilizing history, information, and classic music. Not meaning classic, meaning everything being like really, really old, but stuff that's you can't remix. It's just like it won't be a song that you just can't remix. Like there's certain things that you see, certain songs you like nobody can do it over. You just don't touch it. I know this Frankie Beverly. Um, he has a catalog of music that to this day I'm still saying the only person I thought tried to do something, um, which she's I think she still should have let it down, was Beyonce. She shouldn't have touched Frankie Beverly. But you have artists in the world who's made lots of music in the past, and we sometimes artists get run over with this concept that they can relive and reignite the fanfare and the excitement of the song by singing their own rendition and then fuck it up. So, you know, we'll talk about that when we move forward. I know one of the engagements that we've had last summer, where we're going to have a DJ cafe. Here in Lake City, we have quite a lot of talent, a lot of DJs, and these DJs came together one time, one classic setting, um, and put together under the genius brother Sean Wright, and his crew of circle of genius friends put together this venue, and they had a long table. I think they had 4 tables of DJ equipment. We're talking about turntables after turntables. They had about 6 turntables, and they had a couple of the Serato-based turntables to the side there. And DJs were playing back and forth. They were challenging each other. It was so much music and so much love. It was turntablist versus mixologists. It was people who were known to use break beats in a brilliant way, reforming music, to people who were massive creators or curators, bringing such music you would forget about and then bringing it into the modern day. It was such a wonderful element that was had here at McClinton Park some almost a decade ago, I think I would say, almost a decade ago. Well, we were going to try to relive that type of passion, relive the intent, and have it available in the cyber world here through our means. At that time, it was Tabletop Media Group, and now it's um, through us in the new norm, in our the company we're developed in the Phoenix Group. Um, so we'll see how it goes on. We'll see as we moving forward. As now I've been holding it down for over an hour and 6 minutes talking by myself, I want to make sure I have something to drink. hmm I see. Beatles and how they impacted England and the Beatlemania craze, and also wrote about the Monkees because they came from Liverpool, England too. Yep. Um, Music was so important, but did you recognize how? I don't know if you saw how the Beatles, the influence of American music, was such a major influence to the Beatles. They spoke about it. I think the only English band at that time that really gave credit to American music, soul music at that time, was the Rolling Stones. When the Rolling Stones came down here, they partnered with Chess Records, and they created the song. The name of the group was based off of a song, and I think was from Wolf. I want to say Lone Wolf. I can't remember the last name, but he was an artist on Chess Records, and it was one of his songs that gave them the inspiration to name the group Rolling Stones. So much so. Now this is the cool shit. Mick Jagger, um, when things went down and James Brown passed, if I recall correctly, and I could be mistaken, but I'm inclined to say that James Brown's financial situation left him with not enough to have a burial, where the lead singer of the Rolling Stones chose to pick up the tab to bury him like the king that he was. And that was an immense homage to an individual who knew where his music came from, who had such an impact. Mick Jagger was something and someone that I salute to this day. Um, I still love some Rolling Stones music. The Monkees, um, Gina, you were talking about the Monkees. I love the Monkey Show. When I was on TV watching the TV show, it was part of my childhood watching the Monkees. Um, Davy Jones being the pivotal English singer, and then you have Dolan's in the background, Mickey Dolan's, being the actual genius behind all this stuff. All the stuff was the genius drummer, Mickey Dolan's. It just fronted it with this British guy who was the singer. And then you had the other members of the Monkees that were just, it was so much innocent fun and so much great music behind it. I remember one show of the Monkees that I saw where the Mickey Dolenz sang a song in Spanish. Because if anybody knew, Mickey Dolenz was Latino. Um, but at that time, it was something that they kept to themselves for fear of any kind of retribution. Um, right. Um, it was music was such a major portion of a lot of our childhood. The Monkees were so much fun because it was so innocent. It was one of those type of stuff where, for a lot of us who were living poor, we daydreamed sometimes through the visuals that we were able to get, like in the Monkees. Seeing a bunch of young people being able to live among themselves and have a great time and pop up in different parts of the world, just sing themselves out of trouble and be everyone's favorite band per se. And if it wasn't the Monkees, it was the Partridge Family. And Partridge Family was a show that I enjoyed watching also. And it was, to me, it was, I think, the idea of family. You know, I love that about the Partridge Family. Mom was the integral part in the background. She had her son singing and daughter playing and all that stuff. And it was such an amazing, um, I guess, symbolism of family. And they had good music. They had good music. So the Partridge Family, the Monkees, and then, of course, the Jackson Five. The Jackson Five, even though it came out in a animated format, it was still great music, great stories. And although it seemed to be animated and never in person, it was still an impact, just as well as the Fat Albert Show. Fat Albert Show was a great source of music, and that was a recollection for a lot of us who lived poor. We, you know, a lot of us had to create our own instruments if we wanted to play. We had to scrounge up what we could and create a world out of it. So that's where we got our, I ain't gonna say inspiration, but it made us comfortable. It made us to feel like it was okay to struggle the way we were struggling, but not, to the point where we're falling apart. Like, it was okay to just say, yeah, you was in the back and you created drums out of a box and so on and so forth. So, don't feel bad about it because others do it too. And, you get to see the music. So it was so much in our time frame where Hanna-Barbera and a lot of the producers back then utilized music and artists to touch so many people. And it was such a wonderful thing. Even I think the last remnants of some of the music back then, because outside of that, you had let me see if I remember correctly. I'm trying to think back, and I thought my man Adrian would be on right now, And I think Brother Torres comes in fairly late if he's able to come on. But we talk about the old shows and the impacts of music. Um, but I know, funny, funny is the scene. But I used to enjoy the Elvis Presley movies where he was Mike this or Mike that. Everything he was Mike. I think it was his favorite. I don't think I've ever watched a show or anything to describe why his role, the first name of every role he played in a movie was Mike. But I found it really fun. I mean, if he wasn't surfing, he was bowling. If he wasn't bowling, he was doing something else outlandish. But he always sang. And coming from a time period where music, being able to have access to music wasn't as readily available as it is now, I listened to a lot of Elvis. I liked Elvis, some of the music. I don't like what he represented, knowing what I know as I was growing up. I don't like the fact that he took so much of black music and converted it for his own gain without giving the love and respect the way he should. But I guess that's the American way, and that's the way American music has been. But I loved a lot of those shows that played music. I'm trying to remember back. There used to be a show that used puppets, but they were all musicians in a puppets. They were all like live scale puppets, huge puppets, and they all played instruments. And it was like the new age band where they were all. And if it wasn't, matter of fact, that was the new genre of TV instruments, because out of that came the Muppet Show, which was also one of my favorite shows growing up. And they had a band, cool as hell, with Animal playing the drums, and he's beating up and tearing up every damn thing. And you got the cool ass bass players and looking like the '70s band. I think Gonzo was the pianist, the master pianist that played so much great music. And then of course the different artists that came on the show. Music was such a major portion of my upbringing. Also, PBS, a lot of the PBS shows that I enjoyed back in the day, from the Electric Factory to Sesame Street, also included a lot of music. Music was a wonderful portion. It still is. Um, and that's why I think I thrive on seeing films about musicians, films about genres of music, films that detailed the journey of some of the musicians that we have today. We're able to enjoy it. Um, every once in a while, I'll put on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which was the Beatles, because the songs and some of the music was funky for the time frame. And I watch the films and enjoy the films. Um, I sit back and watch some musicals from back in the day because of the musical content. Um, I watch Rent, and I thought to this day it's still some of the strongest musical foundations of shit that's kind of cool. Even though it's Broadway, it's still music to me, and some of the contents and some of the singers, the actual instrument that they use, the voices are amazing. So I enjoy it. I love it. I love watching music. I love going to live shows. My wife and I were talking about how we're looking forward to being able to go and feel comfortable on a lawn festival or show to catch one of our favorite artists here and there, the way we've gone in the past, and be able to enjoy some of these shows. I even told my son, going through this pandemic, and prior to the pandemic, I was fearful of how hip hop has somewhat created an uncomfortable setting, and how the only avenues of live music that were available were ones that were under critical strain for violence and over drug use and what have you. And now to this day, he was telling me, we were in Philadelphia not too long ago, and he kept talking about wanting to go to um, Rolling Loud. I think that's what it's called. Is the uh, the concert series. And I told him, I said, Rolling Loud sounds good to you, but I think to me the most pivotal concert series that I was able to enjoy was the Smoking Grooves concert series that I was able to enjoy 4 years straight. I was able to go Smoking Grooves, And it was just something because I couldn't go to Budweiser Music Fest, which was the biggest hip hop R&B gathering ever, doing tours throughout the nation. I wasn't able to go there, so I was able to go Smoking Grooves. Man, Smoking Grooves to me was an amazing concert series. I've never been in an arena being able to see with one price, see 14, 15 groups, top rated musicians. I mean, I saw Cypress Hill on the same stage as the Refugees, the Fugees, as Nas, Jay Z, as in the uh, some of the, I mean, the Common, the Roots. I've seen so many amazing artists in hip hop and R&B through Smoking Grooves, and it was the only time I would honestly say that out of the 4 years that I went to, 2 years I lost my voice and got really sick because I lost my voice. Halfway through the show, I was screaming like yelling. Halfway through the show, and these shows are between 8 and 11 hours long, and no joke, 11 hours long. I remember in the last shows I went to, I think that was the longest one there. We got there, I think it was 11 o'clock with a 12 o'clock start, something like that. 12 o'clock was the initial start. We got there a little early because we wanted to get a good place in the arena. It was like a lawn setting in Camden, waterfront. Being able to sit there and enjoy ourselves, we got there fairly early. They started early because they had so many different artists. So it started at noon. Okay, cool. Started at noon, kept going, and kept going, and kept going. 8 o'clock, I'm always lost my voice. 8 o'clock. I mean, I already saw major artists, Fat Joe, Nice and Smooth. Saw all these wonderful artists that I wanted to see. I think I saw PM Dawn one year, but it was like the year before they got the ass whooped by um, KRS-One. Um, but I got to see a lot of people. So much so that one year I was so tired from the energy expelled that I passed out and fell asleep for about 20 minutes and a half hour. This is in the middle of a damn concert. Woke up and it's still in the middle of the concert. And it was to this day probably me waking up to bombs over Baghdad. That's what I woke up to. And it was just so much energy. It was, to me, the greatest experience with music that I've had ever as a viewer. I remember one time I was able to go. It was Electric Factory in Philadelphia. It's a place that has an indoor concert series. To me, it's probably the best place. If ever you wanted to see a concert indoors, it was the best place because it was big enough that you have a lot of people in there, but small enough that you felt engaged and you could see the people's face. You didn't have to use jumbotrons. You know, they see you. You have a great interaction. I remember one time we were so close. We were basically on stage, and at that time it was Mobb Deep, Common, Roots. It was Little Kim. It was half of Bad Boy. I didn't see Puffy, and I didn't see Biggie at the time, but it was Juvenile. It was so many artists performing at that time, and it was to the point where we were located. We knew, my friends and I that went to this concert, we knew a lot of people who were either musicians, electricians, and even DJs, because we were in the industry somewhat, or just fans, really adamant fans. And we got to know a lot of people who knew people. We ran into a couple people there at these concerts. One time I remember sitting there, Common is on the stage and he's doing his things with the Roots, and they do a lot of old school music and they doing impromptu rap and what have you. And one of our boys was part of the band, and he was playing the backup drums, and he sees it, and he's like bugging and screaming. He's like, "Come on down!" We're like, "Hold up, or did you just flag us down to come on down?" You know, of course, the security at that time didn't allow us to go on, but it was a great experience. Like, yo, we're about to be on stage with the Roots and Common. At that time, it was amazing because we were such fans, and at that time, the the group that was like really pushing was Black Star. Black Star was really going. I mean, they were doing their thing. And Talib Kweli was on the set at that time, and because I was so intermingling, having conversation with the people that were there, Kweli had pointed me out, yo, you should be into the music this way and that way. I ain't getting no energy, whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It was like him calling me out, but it was just an intermingle here and then. To this day, like I said, I had some of the greatest interactions in and around music and live music like that. And I'm still hoping that my son is able to experience some of those things, but in a safe environment. Um, it's 8:28 p.m. This is Mo Delgado in the New Norm 2.0. I've been on for about an hour and a half talking, carrying it. Um, Waiting for my man to come on. And for anybody else who's interested, Jenny, you were talking about the music. If you're interested in coming on, come on. I told you before, it's good to see your face and when you're able to intermingle. Um, I don't know why, but I don't see. Facebook is now kind of odd in their disposition. They're sort of limiting what I can see. I don't know why. I got to try to upload it, but luckily I'm able to see on my main streaming venture. Um, let's see. My Wi-Fi's got it. I took watermelon and a golden melon and processed it using a blender. Added some mint, blueberries, strawberries, and a little bit of lemon, pure lemon, and mixed it all together in a blender. Then took it and sieved it through and got the impurities. A little bit of lemon, pure lemon, and got the impurities and the pulp out. And this is the juice that's out. It's pure juice. And I just put some actual Midori in it, and it's banging. It is banging. All right, bro. I see you. Okay. Okay. I don't know why it seems to be issues going on. Facebook is delaying the content. I don't know why, but I'm gonna try to get with. I'm trying to get. I don't know why I'm having problems, yo. Adrian, I don't know why I can't see your post. I don't know why I can't get to the post. But I'm going to put in a comment and hopefully you guys can see it. And yep, the minute I post it, this is when I see your interaction. Try posting a link, okay? So you see the link there, and hopefully it'll come on. I think it's because of the way the hurricane left a lot of us indoors, and now there's such an influx of individuals staying online and they're seeing stuff. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Uh-huh. Okay. Here we are. Brother Adrian.
What's going on, man?
Good to see you. Good evening. How are you?
Good afternoon, all.
Yes, good evening. Good. How you feeling, man?
Not bad. The sun just got off the road just now.
Yeah,
when
man.
You hit me up earlier. Well, when I hit you up earlier, yeah.
Okay.
A friend of mine was playing some let me see, he had a little gig going on at Hard Rock.
Ah, okay,
Yeah, so I decided to pay him a visit up there.
okay,
Got to support my people, man. That's what it's about. To
absolutely,
represent.
absolutely. We were just talking about live music a second ago, and
Yeah.
it's always a really important thing to do to get it. You know, I love live music. You know, especially jazz. I love jazz. Um, so your people up there that are performing, what are they performing?
Yeah, it's like three individuals, and they're actually playing steel pan music and
Oh,
Caribbean
okay,
music, steel pan. Yeah,
cool.
nice and windy, watching the sunset. And listen to some steel pan music.
Mhm.
Very, very islandy.
Of course, man. Get that Caribbean
Yeah,
feel.
real nice.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this guy in a long time, so we go all the way back to like high school.
Okay.
So he was in the area performing at Hard Rock.
Hmm. I have a friend of mine who's an international artist. He plays on a lot of different bands, and he's traveled all over the world. And when he's able to come down, I try to connect. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I'm pretty certain that he's so involved in the loops that he probably don't get a chance. But that's just like me, you know. The minute I get a phone call, yo, I'll be in town. I'm coming in. Up, I hear thunder. I hear lightning. We have
Yeah,
them rain.
yeah, it's coming in. It's coming through, Jack.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Nicole was asking where did they perform?
Oh, Caribbean, steel pan music. The island type music. They,
You said
they were there just. I think his next gig is at Harris.
okay.
So
You said,
I'm going to get a specificity and see if I post it. Send you
mhm.
guys. Let you know so you go check it out. Real nice.
Right. Okay. Okay. And you said they it was a visual arts type thing. Is that what it is?
Oh no, it's steel pan music. You have the steel pan and the steel drums. So you have the steel pan, the bass, bass guitar, and the whole nine yards. Yeah,
Right. 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 Okay. That's cool.
give you that island flavor, Mo.
Hmm. Well, of course, you know me. I'm down with the island flavor.
Yeah, I noticed you have
So my
you have
Carol,
the island gob going on there.
my hat, and the whole nine.
Exactly.
All I need is
The
a
head is
boat,
back.
and I have
you
my
you
drink.
ready?
I have
You
my
ready
drink
to
and
go?
everything. That's it.
You ready to go, Jack? I'm
Hell
telling you.
yeah, man! I keep it going. I am an islander. I'm genetically and socially, I'm an islander.
The strange thing, I was up there teasing them too. I says, "You're playing the steel pan music in the whole nine yards. You're a stone cold American." When we went to school many years ago, I was the only Trinidadian in the gang.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm watching you play my music from my country. I'm like impressive.
Uh-huh. The Dolo Trini. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he has the whole language going on there while he's singing. I'm like, all right. I says, you all of a sudden you got this, West Indian accent. I said, I'm the only one that had the West Indian accent growing up, and
They,
I
de-
still do. Yeah.
they developed accent. That's
I says, now you're an American. Where did you get that accent from?
uh-huh. And it's funny, you talk about accents. I keep laughing. I was sitting there having a conversation with my son about my experience in college and how accents are certain things. And oh, she said where the hat was. Someone was asking. She said, I wonder where the hat was. I usually do, Shelly. If you paid attention, if you ever been on the show, I'll wear my hat in the beginning, and after a while, it becomes irritating, not because of the light and all that stuff. So I just take it off because it's part of the show. Anyway, but thank you for noticing, Shelly.
Somebody's paying attention.
Yeah. So we was talking about accents and how they're so prevalent in certain places. I know my intermingles with Bermudians, it was difficult because it was different. Their accent was totally different than somebody in the Caribbean. And the Caribbean accents and the islands are different. You'll hear Patois heavy, Jamaica. You hear Creole heavy, Haiti. You hear the Cuban sound, Latino heavy resonance. You hear the Trini sound that it's a peculiar sound in between. You're like, hold up, what is that? Then you have Antigua. You have places like Montserrat that has their own sound.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Grenadians and it depends on where you come
Plethora of
from.
nothing but accents.
Yeah, everyone's
Plethora.
cool. I know in college I was trying to get the idea of the accents, like I was from the islands, from those parts of the islands, to talk to them. And one time I had a few of them down. The other, I probably tortured them, but they were just being friendly.
Sweet, huh?
Yeah, man, it was friendly. But I love, I love the experience, the original experience that people bring with them from the islands. For their origins. When they come here, United States, the United States always sort of like pushes you to assimilate, and I'm like, nah, man, keep true to your traditions, keep true to your food, your people, talk, whatever they keep talking. I know this one dude from Jamaica, right? And this elder brother, he, whenever I talk to him, he always joke around. He says, "I'm not black, I'm British," because the colonization of the UK coming over to Jamaica, right? So he's always like, "I'm not black, I'm British." He says he's always holding on to. He says, "But my Jamaican roots are strong," and he would always tell me about these Jamaican roots here and there. So all I kept thinking was, if all of us here as immigrants of different places kept to our accents. Oh, you blacked out, my man. You went up. Adrian, you might come on in a minute. Let's see. But if we kept to our accents and kept to our traditions, we'd be so much more colorful. We'd be so much more diverse. And in communities where that exists, where you like larger communities like in New York City, larger communities where you're able to be among your own and then have small little settings like Chinatown or Polish town or different little Italy areas where those cultures are able to thrive. There's so much that it offers the world, man, and it's really cool. I wish Atlantic City was more forward thinking to be able to do that. To get even though our space is minimal, it's not as big as other areas, but I think there's enough space that we can celebrate each other's origins and traditions and give people a chance to be who they are freely here in the United States, and we can learn from one another. So, but as Adrian hopefully comes back on in a second, he didn't face no blackout where he lives or anything like that because of the storm. But excuse me, anyone paying attention to the weather, this weather that we're feeling here on the Eastern Board right now, is remnants of what came from out west. This is the stuff that's peaking from the Pacific Northwest that came around through that high pressure and was being pushed up. All this stuff is churning remnants of what was affecting the Pacific Rim, and it was getting pushed up because of the pressure. It's getting pushed up. So we're seeing some thunderstorms this evening and possible clearing tomorrow, and then we'll see some more rainy days in the next couple of upcoming days. So pay attention, folks. A lot of electricity in the atmosphere. Don't be scared. Absorb it. Take on the energy, whatever it is. Just don't be fooled. Don't be foolish. Lightning likes to strike trees, so a tree is not going to save your ass out there. So stay in areas where you're grounded. Make sure you have your rubber shoes. God forbid somebody gets struck. I've only known of one person, maybe one person that I've heard of that was actually struck by lightning and survived it. Person's not right anymore. It's like a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic these days. I mean, he's still functioning. He's just not as sharp as he once was prior to that situation. But there's something to continue. I had to, on Facebook, I had to move the system up some to be able to see all the comments. There was a whole lot of comments that were made, and just it wasn't idle. And I think it's because of the amount of people who are now online watching, whether on Facebook or something else, that there's a major delay because of this weather. No one's out hanging out right now. But 4th of July took place. I'd like to hear some of your experiences. I know here in Atlantic City, we had some wonderful fireworks, of course. It was done by casino industry, by the casinos. Behind Borgata, there was the fireworks, and it's pretty nice. However, I still say the best fireworks I've seen was done with when I went to college at Kane University, Kane College back when I went. We had the best. It was like best arrangement of light. It was really technical, really awesome. The images that were thrown in space were cool. This that we saw this year, the only thing I saw different than I didn't say before is I saw stars. I said, okay, cool, something different. Oh, and then a low burst at the end, a finale that was a little lower than you would normally see it up in the sky. It was a little lower, but fireworks were pretty cool. Other than that, it wasn't a big hurrah this year, Independence Day. What was your opinion, Adrian? How'd you look at Independence Day? Was it okay? Was it, did you have an exciting experience?
See them all. See them all. See them all. All over the place. See it in Philly. See it all. It was really nice. It's after work, after a while, the same fireworks. So
yeah, seeing one, seeing it all. Right?
Their attitude. Some people love to watch fireworks after you've seen them all. After same thing. I mean, some fireworks right now outside the window with the lightning. I don't know if you can see it in the back. My screen there, everything just went down.
Yeah, we noticed. I was like, hold up, did he get a blackout where yet?
Yeah, everything just went down, my friend.
Yeah, man. Fireworks is something, but now that New Jersey, the laws of fireworks are less stringent, you were able to have access. It was fireworks for about at least 10, 15 days before 4th of July. Every night you see fireworks in the sky. It was a pain in the ass. I was tired of seeing them. And then because my dog is sensitive, he was barking every night, all night long. Stuff outside. It was a pain in the butt. It was, I don't know, in my opinion, when seeing it so much, it took away from the luster of 4th of July.
Yeah.
It took away the luster. I saw some low level ones, like community ones. There was one up the street from my mother-in-law in a community that's not necessarily known to be very united. It was, some people that are downtrodden. It was behind the mission, and they lit up the street. You can see this big bundle of explosions in the middle of the street, that all kinds of fireworks. But I was like, wow, that's different. That's new. That's kind of scary too, because it's not too far from residential area, from houses, but it was different. What I didn't see much music. Like usually, Independence Day would be somebody performing here and there. I didn't see it. I didn't hear nothing on the radio. Nothing. I'm like, okay.
Times have changed, man. It's COVID.
Yeah, hell yeah. But it would have been cool. Like, I know years before, you're listening to the radio station, local radio station will play music in the background of the fireworks. And they would try to, at least choreograph it. Nah, not anymore. Not anymore. All you heard was Cardi B or some other stuff going on radio at the same time. I'm like, no, I don't think that's supposed to bang the same way. It's not the same.
Did you get a look at that DJ Cassidy stuff that I sent you? That was pretty decent. I like the way he has that formatted.
I've been watching DJ Cassidy since the first one. Pass the mic, love it.
It seems like he has a very unique, style going on there.
DJ Cassidy is such an interesting person. If people don't know, you look at him, you think he's Latino and so on and so forth. Nah, my man is Algerian, and he lives in a small port community who loves hip hop and loves R&B. Just he's a curator of music, and he has so much style. I have a cousin of mine who's a local DJ Acting Up, and he was starting to develop his style and look, and I told him, I said, yo, check out this DJ Cassidy. My man, he wears a certain brim, certain look. It's cool as hell. It's an international flavor. He and when he came up, because I remember D Nice was the first DJ that was doing live on social media, which was kind of cool. And his D Nice was really, like, he does a lot of local stuff here in Lang City. And he was doing live sets, and I think one time he had one person perform live on a microphone. Next thing you see, Cassidy, instead of DJing records or songs, he had the actual artist. I was like,
that's what made it, and he had those people actually sing along to their own songs. What made it so unique?
Love it. And it was so fly. I
sent that to you with Shaka Khan and some of the others.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been watching him from the first gig, because he started first with R&B, then he went to hip hop. I think R&B was the first one. Then he did hip hop. Then after that, he did classic. Then he did Of the Ages. I think he's up to like 6. So I know he did the BET Awards. He's done Essence Festival, and he does like a special one for each one. I love, yeah, Mother's Day. Mother's Day was another one. Yeah, that was a cool one too. And I loved it, man. When you had Cameo come on, yo,
Yeah.
I was, I was rocking. You can't help it. That's one song. Wherever you go, if you hear dun 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 dun, you're like, hold up, stop the cookout. It's on now. It's like Candy. I was like, yo, and when he came on, loved it, man. But Cassidy is definitely, he's.
Yeah, he's got a good flavor, man. It seems like he's going to be going places.
Oh,
You saw that lightning and stuff, so forgive me if I go down again. It ain't me.
I got you. I got you. I'm good.
It's
I'm good.
striking lightning. You look in the background in the window here, you see all that lightning passing through.
I hear you.
Fireworks outside, Mo, I'm telling you.
Well, you know what? The way things are going, if you see lightning, if I see lightning at your crib, give me a couple minutes. That'll be the lightning that I see over my crib soon. Because the way it's coming is coming from there.
That's why I got the hell out of Atlantic City, because I knew it was coming that way.
But you were talking about Cassidy, DJ Cassidy. He's international, man. He's up at a level. He does like super domes and super things. I love the fact that the music that he brings, he's got so much depth. And I could only imagine if he had a concert, DJ Cassidy concert, and he brings everybody there, yo, that would be the banging show. Banging. Because each time I'm always looking like, hold up. You know, his background looks like it's the green screen back wall, but he's always rocking his tuxedos and odd looks and prints. The hat's always flies out with his Yves Saint Laurent glasses. My man's got a lot of flavor.
Yeah, he's got style, man. You know, I checked it out. I said, yeah, he's going to be going places. There's no doubt about it.
The classic Mike.
Put everything together. Good collaboration.
Yep, the classic cardioid mic dangling in front of him. He was the man working that shit, man. I love it. I still like every once in a while, if I feel like I'm in a certain type of mood, need some music, I'll throw in a Cassidy video because you get to watch it. You know, you get to see the artist singing. And some of the ones like Shaka Khan came on. I was like,
Khan, exactly. You know,
love it. I think
was it BB? Yeah, you know, a whole lot of them. As a matter of fact, George Clinton was another one that was on there. Yeah, he was getting a lot of people. Yeah,
I couldn't even tell it was him.
Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown, I mean, you can tell, you know, time has gotten a hold of him, but, you know, hey, he went through a lot.
You know what? Speaking of that, I'm wondering if that's going to be probably the next one to him for Cassidy to have Go-Go and some other times because he did some reggae. Cassidy did reggae. He had Capleton. He had Buju Banton, Capleton, and Beanie Man. He was like 4 or 5 reggae stars, right? And he had some classic, and I can't forget exactly what, but he did a version that had some reggae, and I know he was touching on some other stuff. So I'm wondering if he's going to do some of the other genres too. It'd be fly as hell. All of a sudden, he whip out some drum pan sound. You know, you get some of the world class artists. You know, that'd be fly as hell.
Yeah, you know, but like I said, he's got a very unique style, and I really like that. You know, whereas he has the original artist, and the music going at the same time to where he crisscrosses everything into one good merger.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I
yeah. What is going on?
It dropped me for all of a sudden. I had to go back in. It's crazy.
Was on the lightning.
There was no lightning. It just dropped me. I don't know why. What happened, but it's crazy. We expect it. It's the new norm, right?
I told you.
It's your cousins
this is the 2.0 after effect.
Kept saying
because you hear that California is getting ready to go back into the wearing the mask fully, you know, in public and in indoors.
I said the way things were going, you see a lot of resurgence. I know the scare is big time. The remaster is being discussed in like 13 states. whether they close it back down. But if you look at the tides, the only reason they were trying to open it back up is for tourism. There's all this money that depends on.
Yeah, they're trying to get everything for the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give everybody a chance to exhale before they go back batshit. Yeah, I just saw the lightning in the window.
Yeah, exactly. Now you know. Now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All my stuff is on surge protectors.
Yeah.
So if anything goes down, it'll just take in the surge protector.
I got my whole studio on a super sized surge protector. I didn't get the one with the car battery because I figured it'd be too heavy to put up on the thing, but it's big as hell.
Yeah, all my stuff is on surge protectors.
Got to. So my shit blink out. Y'all know, America. If y'all see us blink out, you know what's up. It's electrical. It ain't us.
Yeah, you can see it in the background.
But I was talking a little earlier about the Delta variant. A little bit about it. I was all over the place. But you notice how they're talking about it in a real spooky way. There's so much emphasis, the negativity and how the death toll, the Delta variant. They're making this the biggest spooky man ever, the boogeyman, more so than Ebola. And Ebola was killing people like days, but it was even scarier. And I don't know if it's just the way society is, and we have a tendency of pushing and hyperinflating the importance or over exaggerating the depths of it because that's the way society is. I don't know, but I've never seen this type of influence ever again on anything, any kind of reflection, even though this is the first time we've ever had something like this to this degree, but I've never seen a threat like that. I'm like, okay, you're tying it in with UFOs. Interesting. You see the last report of the UFOs?
I've seen the UFO stuff, here and there coming up out of the Pentagon and those guys. I mean, people always going to have their weird assertions here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I look at it. I mean, the bottom line, COVID is real because if over 500,000 people can't be wrong.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of bodies. Look at New York last year because they were taking a lot of bodies and they were putting them into refrigerated trucks.
Yeah, with the island. Remember the island that what's it called? Penguin Island? I think it's called Penguin Island. The island where they were dumping bodies. They had all kinds of.
Wasn't it? They were dumping a lot of the bodies into the rivers and stuff, and the river was spitting it right back out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's where this is they call it the Delta, variant, but I believe it's also the Indian variant that they actually just gave it, because it mutates so much, and that's the thing that's going on.
Well, we talked about it early on in its inception. It's the smartest, the most intelligent virus we've seen in decades, if not an eon. This is the only one where it seems to gestate and create based on the population. Each one was based on a specific population. The Brazil specific, African specific, Indian specific. They were all what? Areas with people of color. Then you had the United Nations, the UK, that seemed to have died easy. I don't know why, but all the other ones seem to be an amazingly aggressive variant that can't be killed.
Well, you have to remember that Japan is going back, is back into a state of emergency there.
Yeah.
So Japan, even they're only allowed to they're not going to have any spectators for the Olympics. First of all,
right.
When they eliminate that, because Japan is back into a state of emergency. Yep. They said actually only 1% to 2% of the Japanese people have been vaccinated. So it's like getting out of hand over there.
You said 1% to 2%? Damn.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's something to consider. Why are all these people not being vaccinated?
And there's another problem brewing right off our coastline here, and that's the situation down in Haiti. That's going to be crazy too.
I'm
people there, and the vaccine never really got to a lot of the people in Haiti.
I'm really concerned about Haiti right now because the assassination of the president by this international team of hitmen. There's something going on stirring. It's something. Haiti being in such a volatile state, there's some disposition why Haiti needs to be had the way it was. It's all in the same volcanic or the plate tectonic rate. Something is going on in that region I just recently saw something on the History Channel about some remnants of some ancient lives or something like this that was here before thousands of years ago, that was close to that Hispaniola region and was underwater found, and it was a little too close to international waters they couldn't get to. And then when the earthquake that took place, that was 8.0 if not higher, the tectonic plates shifted and you saw some remnants of something else. So they could, international interest in stuff that's going on there, could be oil, could be whatever, but there's something going on in Haiti. I mean, they're already financially strapped. They're really hurting as a
Yeah,
nation.
the earthquake devastated Haiti big time.
Mm-hmm.
The earthquake many years ago, devastated Haiti, and they never really recovered. And a lot of the funds from the international community never got to the people because they were stealing it, squandering it. The politicians, the whole 9 yards. And the guy that they actually assassinated, I mean, this guy was also part of the problem. He wasn't part of the solution.
Jovenel Moise, really?
Yep.
I don't know a whole lot about him, but when I heard he was assassinated at home, and then by who he was assassinated, I was like, what the hell is this about? This is something bigger. This is something a whole lot bigger, because apparently the team of hitmen were hired mercenaries. These
Correct.
individuals who are known as to be mercenaries. You had some Haitian Americans that were part of this team, but the majority of them are mercenaries. I'm like, what the hell is this guy about? You don't necessarily hear about assassinations as often, right? Good thing. But when you do hear it, you usually hear about rebellion coming in from people in that nation, a revolt, a coup d'etat type thing. But never by means of a hit squad. That sounds like some Black Ops American / Israel in another nation type stuff. That's the kind of stuff that you hear Putin smiling about. His team of KGB men came and obliterated somebody on a toilet or some shit. The sum of all fears nonsense. But he was fairly young too, man.
Yeah, he was 53. His wife is 47.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So I'm really interested in how this develops. But again, Dominican Republic right next to it.
Correct.
The pandemic affecting that nation, the nation of Haiti also. We don't know how this is going to spur out. Oddly enough, one of the world's greatest virologists, epidemiologists, schools of epidemiology are in Haiti, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So
I've heard of it. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's intertwined. That'd be some shit, some serious something, because we're talking about an industry that's billions of dollars, right? This is the economy that this pandemic has created. So could this be part of it? I don't know. But we'll see. I'm not going to add on to the mystery of it. I'll leave that.
There's no mystery because the guys that actually killed them, I mean, some of them were killed also. They captured a few of them and they had a shootout with the rest of them. So, but Haiti's going to go into a lockdown. There's no doubt about that also.
Yeah, they talked about it. It said 38 people involved. It said 8 people got away, 6 people shot and killed, 2 American dissidents or people American who go back and forth from Haiti to America. I saw some of the numbers. It was a lot. When I saw 38 and looking at the people, they showed a video of the people coming from Colombia. There was some from Colombia and some from El Salvador. And usually when you come on hitmen's like that, guerrilla type stuff, we're talking about mercenaries.
Well, I've always said to you, there's 3 different types of justices. And I'll go back to that again. God's justice, man's justice, and street justice. One of them is going to get you. If you do wrong, one of them is going to get you. That's all there is to it. And in his case, street justice got to him.
Did it? Okay.
Well, you have a bunch of guys, breaking into your crib, shot up your wife in the whole 9 yards. I mean, these guys, they put it together, ragtag bunch of army. Who knows how skilled they were, but they actually took them out.
Military espionage. I don't know. That's what I said, but it
wasn't another government. It wasn't like the government of Honduras or the government of Venezuela or nothing like that. So these people got into that country, or if they weren't already in that country.
Yeah.
Trained in that country and then decided to put it out.
It could have been a cartel.
Well, it could be a lot of things too.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is they got the job done. His
Yeah.
wife was flown from Haiti to the United States. Right now, she's in South Florida in one of the hospitals there.
Yeah. I saw the reports talked about it, but the more and more information goes on, the more you're gonna see a lot more details coming about. They're gonna. I don't know how true you'll get the information wise, but we'll see it. International wise, if you'll see the what's that Caribbean TV, you might get some information.
Yeah, I normally watch, a lot of the channels out of Florida,
Uh huh.
Miami. So when some things like that broke, I end up getting it. Just like the building that went down.
Hmm.
As soon as that building went down, it was crazy. Then they had to take down, they just demolished the other half of it.
Yeah. Did you see the video of it?
Yeah,
It was quick when they had the implosion of the pool deck. Water from the pool itself went into the next floor. That should immediately been a red flag. Whatever security or any overnight personnel, they should have had. I don't know if they have an intercom system to immediately inform people there's been a water break. There potentially could be some more damage. Please leave the building immediately. And the
but
way it's
think
built,
about it more. A lot of these contractors and property managers, they believe that build it and they will come. Yes, they will come, but then eventually you have to maintain it. And a lot of properties these days, including the roads and bridges and streets here in the United States, are not being maintained. The
right,
water, water lines, you will have a lot of, like during the wintertime, you see a lot of, the main breaks, you will have a lot of that stuff because they don't maintain these things. When you
right,
build it, you have to also maintain it, but you don't. Look at what happened in San Francisco a few years ago when that bridge actually pancaked with those people on it.
yeah. You talking about during the earthquake?
Yeah, remember? I don't
That was
believe it was.
crazy. I was buckling.
Yeah,
Crazy, man. I always say that before because my stepfather, he's my father-in-law. I keep saying my stepfather. Father-in-law, he's in Sacramento, and I always ask him. I know it's a big distance between one city, North California to Southern California, but you can get some information how things are going, and I always wonder if how far he is from certain tectonic plates and does he feel the earthquakes? And each time he's like, I ain't feel nothing, son. I'm like, well, that's a good thing. But that's scary, man. The type of motion that was involving. I think it was an 8.0, right? I think that was
it was
the
pretty heavy, to say the least.
yeah. It wasn't a welcome party, but I'll tell you what. But again, that just goes to show you the type of developers that are known to develop properties and buildings in those facilities are the ones that should be developing all over because they're aware of what's needed to keep your buildings intact, or at least to be solid enough to preserve life, the ones that are inside. The ones in California, I mean in Florida, may have been there 40, 50, 60 years, never really built to withstand hurricanes to the level that, or the design flaw of having a pool that didn't have the structure of safety underneath the pool to protect it from any kind of harm in water. I saw the video, and you saw within a half hour's time of the water gushing that you saw breaks in the infrastructure. Then within an hour is when the collapse started, and it collapsed in three separate
Yeah,
parts.
but they said they believe it came from the bottom because a lot of the garage area weren't properly being maintained. This
The
shows
infrastructure,
pictures of the basement and what it looked like. One of the contractors walked through and like, this is crazy.
yeah, that you
And
saw
that's
the
the thing. They
cracks in the
build these
infrastructure.
buildings, but they do not inspect these buildings. And one of the laws that was actually passed to help a situation from this, happening, they actually repealed that law. So they
Mhm.
took it off the books. So a lot of these guys, and there's another tower building by the same company down there. There's another building that the same developer owns.
Right.
So there's a lot of this stuff going on down there.
Yeah. But that one was developed some 40 years after. That's why they're underneath that cusp. The one that was next to it, like the building after, there's
Mhm.
another building that sits in between that's built like in similar way. It was built like an oblong building, but straight facility, and then the other building. It was like 40 years later is when they built that second one. And that one was recently evaluated, a lot more recent than that one, and that's safe. But they're starting to look. That whole southern Florida area is starting to look at all their buildings differently. I'm
Oh,
like,
of
good,
course, of
good,
course. Because you have a lot of people still buried up under that rubble.
hell yeah. You imagine in Miami alone, Miami, you got a lot of towering buildings in a small little area. Man, imagine how many, the potential of danger that could happen if one collapses. Shit. I told this my wife. Um, the big cities down there, St. Pete, Tampa Bay, Orlando, Miami, Daytona Beach, Jacksonville. Those are areas that you see a lot of towering buildings because
Yeah,
seniors that migrate. So it's a big concern. It's starting to trickle up. Like all the states that are coming up the eastern border are now looking at their buildings a little differently. They're starting to revisit some of the laws and regulations, which is good. It should be a federal mandate for safety. If you're looking at building a building above 6 stories, for every 6 stories, it should be like a more frequent evaluation for structural damage. You should
I
be more
remember.
involved.
The thing about it is because I remember Alan was telling me, it's my brother. He was telling me, he's like, Adrian, if you have to stay in a hotel or something, the fifth floor will be just right. Anything above that, forget about it because the ladders only go up to about the fifth floor.
Smart from a fireman.
Yeah.
Fireman perspective,
So you
smart.
can see the same damn view from
Yep.
the fifth floor that you will see, at a higher floor, whatever the case may be. You don't need to go up any higher because that's a good way to get up out of there real quick.
I don't like the whole concept of being in a high rise. I don't like it. Um, I remember when the towers were built here in the inlet. Um, what's that?
Lighthouse Plaza,
Metropolitan Plaza. No,
Lighthouse, yeah.
well, Metropolitan was a little taller than Lighthouse, but I remember being in my friend's apartment, and it was pretty high up there, and the weather was basically coming through the living room. You could see the cloud coming through the living room. I was like, yeah, it's a little higher than I want to be, little higher than I want to be. God forbid something happens. That's a whole lot of steps I got to run down.
Hell yeah.
That's a
And
whole
don't
lot.
take the elevator, folks. Make sure you're in good health.
Hell yeah. And elevators don't work during tragic
No.
situations. They usually shut them down. So you're right. Fifth floor was this. That's it.
Yeah, fifth floor is ideal.
I'm like, getting into a shit. They talking about you can get free housing or you can live someplace for free. That's okay. Thank you. No, thank you. All right. Fifth floor it's actually a little higher than I want to be. Fourth floor is good. Third floor is prime. If I can see beyond the parking lot, I'm good. I don't have to see beyond the county. I ain't got to see that. And if I'm in a town, and I keep thinking, the higher you get, and if you're like at the ocean side, all you're looking is deep sea. Who the hell wants to look at deep sea from the building that you live in? Unless that's your thing. I don't want to look at that shit. I want to see the pool. I mean the beach. I want to see the view of the city type deal. I'm not trying to look. And at nighttime, you can't see shit anyway. It's black. Unless you see a boat coming by. That's not my thing. It's just I don't find any. It's not attractive to me. That's okay. That's okay. I'm good with the third floor. Put me above the parking lot. I'm good. I'm fine with that. Third floor. It's good.
And because even like in New York, Midtown Manhattan, I know the Sheraton in Midtown Manhattan, that's like really up there. So you have to take like 2 elevators. You have to take one elevator will go to the 40th floor, then you have to check in, and then you have to go up to the higher floor after that.
32nd floor in Dubai, beautiful. Shelly, I believe you. I believe you. 32nd floor in Dubai, you probably see all kinds of shit. You probably see us in Jersey from the 32nd floor in Dubai. I don't imagine because you have like the what's the real tall building in Dubai? The Burj Khalifa. Can you imagine being up on like the 116th floor in the Burj Khalifa? You're basically in space. You know what I mean?
I'll take my chances on Palm Island there. That seems a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. Something happened. I swim. Something happened in Burj Khalifa. Something happened and you fall. Woo, that's a long ass drop.
Yeah, the Palm Island is just good. You have all the whole islands with nothing but,
Yep. And they just built the what's the name of in the Bahamas is known for Atlantis. They built the Atlantis Hotel in the Palm. It's really beautiful. You went up there? Oh, okay. All right. Burj Khalifa? Yeah, I can only imagine. One building, you talking about high rises that I'm interested in going to? There's I forget the name of the hotel chain, but it's a hotel in Malaysia, in Singapore, that has a flat. It looks like it was four buildings built. They took the third one and put it on top, and they put a pool on the top. And you always see this beautiful view whenever they have Independence Day, like when they have their fireworks and the people at the infinity pool at the pool. I said I would love to go up there just to look, but I'd be nervous after a while and be like, that's okay, I want to come there. But I want to see what it is. But in Singapore, it's beautiful. But
There's a lot of nice designs out there. There's no doubt about it when it comes to high rises, But like I said, building it is one thing, maintaining it is something else. It's a whole different animal.
I'm gonna get the building. It's so cool. The unique building in Singapore. There we go. Like there's like you said, when it comes to architecture, there's amazing architecture all over the world.
Yeah.
And they say this is the tallest iconic building in Singapore. Let's see if I get the picture for y'all. But this building has a pool at the top of the building. I think it's a 7. You know how you have the 5-star, 6-star. I think this is the only place that's 7-star. Let me share this picture so you can see what I'm talking about if you didn't know. But it's an amazing building. Share screen. It's taking a second. Listen to the beautiful weather.
Listen, hell, I can watch it right on the screen right here.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Well, here you go. This is the building I was talking about. See how the top part, it looks like a spaceship on top? There's a pool up there. It's a pool.
Remind me of the Palms in Vegas.
Yeah. Tanjong Pagar Center. That's the place, the tallest skyscraper in Singapore. That's the place I'd like to go there. And it's like 7-story. I want to just go up there because there's a restaurant and a pool up there. I want to check it out. But I'm going to come bring my ass down too because that's a little too high. But the infrastructure is set up like it's not just straight. Like it's built on an angle. And if you look at the foundation, and it's built just like a lot of tall buildings are, they spiral as they go up. So I think that's an infrastructure thing because you saw that in Singapore at the financial exchange when you had the 2 buildings that interconnected in the middle. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful designs, like I said,
Yeah.
A lot of them.
I mean, I don't have to stay there long, but I want to be able to look at it. What the hell? Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. It's another big one. But, oh, God. AXA Tower, Capitol Tower. And there's more buildings in Singapore. That's a place I'd like to visit one day. Well, Shelly says she has it as a screensaver. Okay. You are the bomb. Shelly, you're able to travel all over the place, so enjoy it. Why not? I'd like to go. My wife and I talked about that before. It'd be nice to go to Singapore. I mean, to me it's Singapore, but to Dubai, to see how it is in Dubai. Just looks like it's hot as hell over there. It's like
it's desert.
middle of nowhere. But you know what? It's on the side of the Indian Ocean. Is it the Indian Ocean? Is it what's there? It's a body of water. It's a big, huge body of water. That's why it's sitting on. It's built on the side. So, I want to go check it out. It also has the largest mall on the planet. It has 2 amazing, huge size amusement parks. Like one is made from like a Disney to the 100th level, and next door is something else with a whole new expansion using animation. It's just crazy shit. It's a place where money goes to die because they got nothing else to make, from solid gold toilets to technology everywhere, but they still got KFC and McDonald's. Ain't that a trip?
Yeah, they feed out on junk food, man, over there. A lot of the locals and stuff, they go after Kentucky Fried Chicken. They do a lot of ordering out, fast food. As a matter of fact, they were at they were coming up as a high rate of diabetes and things of that nature because of their diet.
Yeah.
Because all that fast food, there's a price to pay for everything in life. Bottom line.
One thing I saw, speaking of Dubai, I saw a special, I think on Vice News, and they were talking about how there was such an influx of people in Dubai that are not native Dubai, people from Dubai.
Correct. They need labor.
Right. And they were brought in almost enslaved labor. They'd be contracted to work 6 months to 3 years. They live in tight spaces. They have to work under extreme conditions of heat, really difficult situations. And then the developers all claim the same thing. They hire these individuals because they're used to working in this type of climate anyway, so they're best suited for it. I'm like, but you don't compensate them. And then you have the impoverished jet setters that live in Dubai and buy properties in Dubai, and they're like, oh, great. But then you have the working class individuals that really can't afford living there, and they have to share one space, and they're like treated like shit, and it's a shit. So it's the American way all over the world, First world side, third world reality in the background. Still want to visit though. Still want to visit Dubai. I'll visit.
Like it says, if you breathe in, you're achieving. So the goal is always on the table there. There you go, something to add to your bucket list.
Hell yeah. Shelly said less than 10% are from there. You get paid according to what country you come from. That sucks. That sucks. And then if you get a percentage, plus if you are from that country, you can get some like tribal rights to it. Like how here in the United States you have Native American reservations who have casinos, and you can get some residual funds getting paid to it. Over there, if you are Emiratis, you can have some sort of benefits to it. It's not like you're gonna be living like the king and shit, and the rest of his 40,000 princes and shit the way they live, but you can get some residual funds. But like she said, only 10% of the people are from there. That's crazy, man. I was saying that's the one place you can go in the world and see auctions of these supercars. You see taxis, Rolls Royces as taxis, because they've already bought every vehicle on the planet in an abundance, so much that now they're junk cars, and they're just sitting there in auctions and for sale. While you have a vehicle here, you can get a Lamborghini Aventador here for $300,000. You can buy one there for $60,000 because there's so many of them. I'm like, I'll keep that in mind. Next $1 million I win. Yep, I will go there, and I'll bring you back one. All right, Adrian, what color do you want? Yellow?
What, you Magnum PI or something driving around a Ferrari?
Hell yeah, if I can get one, why not? Ferrari, I love that. That's a nice car.
Yeah, and then when you take it to the shop, those mechanics be like, "Yeah, I really enjoy your car. I'll valet parking this house here in about an hour or so. Go through the hood like what they used to do at Tropicana many years ago.
Yeah,
used to say, "Oh yeah, really nice car," and then take the car for a spin in the hood.
But you know what? It'd be funny and shit. You'll see me driving a Ferrari, and then I'll take it to the mechanic. But like, the body's a Ferrari, but the vehicle underneath is something else. Damn right. I got a Chevy Chevette as an engine, and the outside of the vehicle like a Ferrari. That's right. I still got the best of both worlds. Put $5 of gas and fill a tank. What's up? What you want?
Yeah, because like it says, those cars are, all electrical, and the computer, the computerization on those cars are very complex. The wiring, and so it goes with the price tag.
Well, and if you're in that lifestyle,
you got the money apparently.
Yeah, it's nice to look at, but it makes no damn sense to own one to me. You can't drive them fast enough to keep the engine in prime cleaning. You know what I mean? How the engine's clogged and stuff like that. You have to rev them at a certain RPM, high levels. You got to drive them fast enough to keep the gear shifts and all the tubes and everything running. There's not a place on the planet you can do this. Maybe the Autobahn in Germany, but how many cars can get on there one spot? You know what I mean? So stuff you can and cannot do. What are you doing? Walking behind me. Did you see the sign? No walking around on set.
You got a sign back there for the fam. I enjoyed talking to her at that event also.
Do what I want.
She pulled rank. She says, I'm the associate producer. I can do what I want. Okay, associate producer. But You know what? You know what? I just recently saw you was talking about different vehicles and everything that I kind of like. The VW, the VW electric vehicle that they just came out with.
Oh yeah.
That shit impressed the hell out of me. Well, you don't see any kind of like coming soon or anything like this, and all of a sudden you come on and I forget what it's called, the ID4 or something like that. It's a nice looking vehicle. The only thing that sucks.
I would say probably next 10 to 15 years, you're going to see a lot of things that's going to be like really spaced out because remember, they're still trying to work on flying vehicles like the Jetsons.
Well,
So they're working on those.
They have one.
You're going to have, the head of Virgin and the head of Amazon. These guys want to have a space race to see who could get into the orbit. First, they call it the billionaire space race.
Go ahead. Let them do it. Let them do it.
They're trying to get away from Earth and inflation.
Inflation, trying to. They're gonna say they don't have to pay taxes on Mars. See you. Bye. Go ahead. But I can see that happening. Virgin, they already had a space
Virgin
team.
Galactica. That's what they call it.
Yeah, Virgin Galactic, and you had Elon Musk's. I forget what it was called. I think it's called Tesla One.
Well, he already put his people in space in the whole 9 yards. So
yeah, not telling anybody. That's the funny shit. I forget the discussion. Instead of like shooting it from areas that that are covered from like Cape Canaveral or in Houston, he shot shit out like from Cleveland, someplace out of nowhere. He just shot it out of his the back of his parking lot somewhere and shot that shit into space. I was like, yo, you really some bold ass individual scaring the hell out of your neighbors. Sending something into space.
These guys are nothing but money with vision. They're visionary with a lot of dough to back it up.
It's nice.
Elon Musk, you're looking at one. Bill Gates is another one. You're looking at, Virgin Galactica. Then you're looking, the head of Amazon also. These guys, nothing but money.
Talking about money, talking about Bill Gates. Did you see that his ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife is about to leave the foundation? Said first Bill stepped out, now his wife. If Belinda's leaving the Bill and Belinda Gates fund, there's something spooky going on. Something spooky going on. She's about to leave the foundation. She already announced it. I said, oh shit. When you announce something like that, something going on.
It's one type of news I don't really follow because we don't have too much an interest there. You see what I'm saying? I talk about money. You look at what Wells Fargo is doing. I posted online today. Because a lot of their accounts, they're actually canceling out the line of credit.
Yo, you saw what happened to Chime?
Huh?
Speaking about that, you hear what happened with Chime? The internet-based bank?
I've heard of Chime.
Chime recently had a situation where they closed thousands of accounts and kept the people's money.
That's gangster.
Internet-based bank system that's being publicly, you see it all the time. The white card says Chime. Registered in the whole nine. They send you an email. We will no longer support a relationship with you. Thank you for your business. As of this date, your account is closed, and won't return the money. I said, if that you hit it right on the nose. If that ain't gangster,
that's gangster.
It's crazy.
That's gangster. You know what else is gangster?
What?
Lawyers are gangster because when you do that stuff, you sick your lawyer on them. That's gangster. Because game has to recognize game.
If you can find the right one,
game the public. That's the bottom line.
You find the right one.
Yeah, because COVID jacked up a lot of companies and businesses, and that's one of the main reasons why Wells Fargo says, look, we're no longer going to have, that line of credit from 3,000 to 100,000 revolving line of credit. We're going to close everything down as far as that's concerned. So people who have credit cards or whatever the case may be with Wells Fargo with a revolving line of credit, they want to shut everything down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to put a lot of people into hardship. It's going to kick it into another form of inflation. Jamie Dimon actually says that inflation is going to be hitting big time before this year is out.
Well, there's been talks about that for the last past 6 months anyway. Inflation was inevitable, and it's going to be present for at least another 6 months. Yeah. And some of the discussion had at the Federal Reserve when it comes to inflation is it's necessary to be able to fill the gap of all the money that's been printed and sent out to try to bring it back in, to try to replenish something that's spent. It's a damn shame how we already in super inflated situation because of loss or necessity. Like we talked about this last week or just recently, how the increase in gas prices is not because of speculators, it's because of the lack of truck drivers to be able to
Exactly.
deliver.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's the same concept. The things that we are normally used to when it comes to inflation, the reasons why are not even evident right now. So we're in a high expensive status anyway. So to say inflation is going to impact us, no shit, it's been impacted. We're already in
I
an
know.
inflated situation
Mm,
already.
exactly.
So it's get accustomed to it. Things have changed. So no, you probably won't find that $1.18 bread
And that's
anymore.
the reason why it really, bugs the crap out of me where you see some people still trying to pay their employees pre-pandemic wages.
Yeah.
With the rate of inflation and everything jacked up sky high.
Hmm.
And then relatively soon they're going to lift these moratoriums. You go to in New Jersey, they start taking on a lot of those cases now.
Shit. The moratorium officially ends nationwide on the 31st of July. It's the last day. They're not even, then the federal government is not even messing with it because that was CDC. So they're not even messing. So we're talking about millions of Americans are potentially going to be homeless
Yeah,
because you're
it's
going to
like
have.
another Hooverville back in the day when that's what they call it, Hooverville.
Hmm.
A lot of people living on the streets and the whole 9 yards, and they're like, "Hey, why are all of these people living on the street, and why are the crime rates so freaking high?"
Yep.
Because one thing is going to lead to the other.
Yep. And it's sad because if you look at the way things are, this is it's expected. You know what I mean? Because first off, if the regular chain of money of the economy was not available for people, so people had to look for different alternative ways of getting money. Okay, cool. That increases the economy another level. It takes away from one. If you're not able to make money, you can't pay rent. So the
Can't pay a lot of things.
right, right. Well, we talking about like the priority, shelter, foods, things like this. People start looking at it, and then when the government came in and says you don't have to worry about getting kicked out the house because the pandemic spread, cool. That lets you breathe. You were still eating. Even some people, you know, taking monies that were supposed to help you with maintaining life. You're going to the supermarket and buying crabs and lobsters and buying all this expensive shit that was available to you, and you wouldn't normally buy it anyway, but you were buying it now. The extra monies that were provided for you through unemployment boosters, you weren't saving it; you were just spending it. So you had a lot of irrational buying taking place. You had a lot of good shit that people needed.
Yeah, but you see, at the same time, when people spend money, it also helps the economy because that's what
Something.
they were anticipating. Now, I remember when Trump actually gave a substantial amount of money to corporate America.
Hell,
That was like a whisper. It came out and it just went. Do you think a lot of those corporations actually passed that down to the employees?
hell no.
That's the bottom line. Hell no. Hell no. They took that money, they pocketed it, and they says, "Thank you very much. Let's keep it moving." And that's
Corporate
exactly
welfare.
what they did. Because, like I said, and it never stirred up any, growth as far as the economy is concerned. Not at all. Because a
Mhm.
lot of the greedy corporations, which they are, just pocketed it and says, "Hey, I can use this to buy out another company," and that's what they would do with it. When the first and the second bailout came, what did Wells Fargo do? Wells Fargo went and bought Wachovia with that money. They never passed anything down. They took that money and they purchased, bam, straight out Wachovia, and which Wachovia is now owned by Wells Fargo. Now look at what company is having a hard time. Wells Fargo.
And if you look at the banking system, the only reason that banks are there are not necessarily for the consumer's benefit, but for the business aspect.
Of course.
That's
They
it.
sell financial products. That's what they do. They sell financial products.
Right. They're not really there to help you store your money. They're there
No,
to say you can store it with us, but I'm going to make money off of you. I'm
of
going to
course.
invest your money, and I'm going to give you a small little threshold back for me investing your money.
That's what they do best. They call them financial products, but some of those financial products are predatory financial products that
Yeah,
they're actually pushing.
it's a cyclical scam. I think that's why you see less savings and loans, and now there's so much more interest in community savings or um, credit unions or what have you, because the banking system is like a big ass scam. That's why the economy seems to be always leveraged or discussed from the investment side. They're always worrying about the stock market. When you see a downfall or a spike in the stock market, they think America is living that way. No, it's the very wealthy. Those are the ones that live like that. Those are the ones that depending like that. Those are the ones worrying about that. Average Joes are living paycheck to paycheck. We're not as concerned too much about.
Yeah, the average Joe is one paycheck away from poverty. And when COVID hit, you actually saw that because a lot of people were out in the food lines.
Yep. And sad to say, there was a lot of people who didn't need the food and were still taking it, just hoarding.
Well, you want to have that. You want to. This is America. You want to have greed wherever you go on this planet.
Hell yeah.
Because some people will take it and they will say, "Oh, I need it," and then turn around and sell it. You know what I'm saying? So wherever you go, you're going to find greed. I mean, that's just the way the system is developed.
Just like PPP loans. It's crazy. I just heard about an ex-NBA player who apparently used a young person to front getting PPP loans for his own financial gain. And it's sad because the PPP loans were like really something that was engaged by a lot of predators, man.
Yeah, very much. But the thing about it is because the government is going to go back after those individuals.
Hell yeah.
No doubt about it. And because I've seen some of these people on Facebook. This one guy, so-called friend, he's like, "Oh yeah, I can help you get this." And I'm like, "Look, dude, what you're doing is committing fraud, and you don't know who you're talking to right about now. So if I was you, I won't contact me anymore." That's just the bottom line because you're going to end up like a cheap suit.
Exactly. It's a shame how predators continue to think like predators and always do what predators do. It's a shame because they look for opportunities to get over.
Yeah.
And they try to convince others to do the same thing to make themselves feel good like they're helping somebody else. No, they just help you be retrofitted for a 10 by 10 cell. You like orange? Do you happen to like orange? Do you like gray? Do you like white? Depends on where you're going to go. Do you like onesies? Do you like one sets? Do you like having your food told and cooked a certain type of way and delivered to you?
You like going to bed at a certain night and waking up at a certain night because you don't have any form of discipline?
Yeah. Are you looking forward to using soap on a rope?
Nope. Just like that song goes.
Exactly. So it's those things, man. America has been so predatory. You see that shit all the time. Many scams. Social media, every other promotion is somebody trying to teach you how you can get this government loan. Fuck out of here. How many times you get hit on me? How many times have I gotten instant messages from somebody who is not that person? Yo, did you hear about this loan? Did you hear about this scholarship? No, I didn't hear about nothing. And thank you for reaching out to me. But don't reach out again. No.
Yeah,
they're all bots.
Crazies, man. That's some crazy. That's some
everyone's always they're like always preying on your needs or preying on your desires.
Yeah. Another thing I want to touch on with you, Mo, the world's oldest person. I don't know if you saw me post that.
The man?
Yeah.
Puerto Rican?
Puerto
Rican man, 112
years old. He's getting ready to go on dates again.
Yeah, he's probably
12 years old. He's getting ready to start dating again.
112 years.
He's got to find a woman who's actually 113.
He likes women older. He can find them. There's a couple.
She'll be a cougar.
I think we have one. I think we have one that's like 111, 112 here in Atlantic County.
Wow.
I'm mistaken, yeah.
Honestly, would you want to really live that long to see all the craziness that life has to offer?
Ooh, you know what? As you get older,
good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but after a while, you're like, man, this is way too long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's a certain level. I wouldn't want to be immortal. I wouldn't want to live.
I'm not going to put an age or anything out there, but the bottom line is, after a while, you're like, look, it's time to cash the chips in because you've been in the casino too long.
I tell you what, I mean, if you're mobile, if you still have your capacity, your full capacity, and able to, your mind is still sharp and your body's still mobile. I don't know. I guess you can live as long as you want to, as far as you want. But when you become immobile and your body doesn't work for you, you have is what little life you have to hold on to.
Hey, Mo, look, the bottom line is this guy's family members could actually says we have the remedy for life, and they could come up with some coquito or something, and it says, hey, you drink a few of these. And you
So,
can live as long as my dad.
hell yeah.
You know
So
what I'm saying? My great great great
yep.
great 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 grandfather.
He probably has a recipe somewhere.
Yo,
And
it must be. Is it the air in Puerto Rico? I'm trying to figure this thing out. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? 112 years old.
he's probably related to me. He's probably one of my ancestors, my living.
Tito, man, I'm telling you, it's got to be that joint.
Yeah,
You guys put in it because this
it's
guy must have been drinking it for a long time.
homemade pitorro. Yep, that's that rum. Homemade pitorro. He probably smokes good cigars.
Yeah, that's a good
Homemade
way
wrap
of promoting
cigars.
that stuff, Mo. Don't you know? So a lot of people don't know any better. If you start promoting the rum or say that this guy actually smokes those cigars and stuff, just give him one cigar so he can puff on it. It might be his last puff, but hey, at least if he lives a day longer, you got yourself a good product.
We killing the man. That's a shame. That's a beautiful thing. I saw him. Like I said, he's you can tell he's older, but you can't tell how old that is.
Nah, you saw his younger pictures from in the heyday. It seemed like he was a playboy back in the day, you know. But now that playboy's still hanging around.
But you know what? Just not too long ago, I remember watching something where they said it's arguably the oldest man ever to live was 132 years old. And he came from like sub-Saharan Africa somewhere.
In the Guinness Book of World Record or something.
It was just recently, and he's still alive. And it's because only with verbal record was he suggesting that he was that old, because they had no written record of how old he was when he was born. But he can talk about some of his ancestors and some of the people, and they're like guesstimating up 130 years old. And I'm like, look, that's a long ass time.
This man, what question would you like to ask this man if he was sitting in front of you?
Shit, what is that to ask him?
What's the secret to life? First of all, that's a good question.
Yeah. Exactly.
Second of all, ask him. Was Moses around at the same time when he was at
Jesus by first name?
Look, I heard, they were like, the Last Supper was a few guys there. Were you one of those guys at the Last Supper or what? There were some good questions.
Were you one of the people that were putting the Dead Sea Scrolls up in the cave?
Were you the 13th disciple that they actually left off because there was 12? Because we know that history isn't perfect. Exactly. So you must have been the 13th disciple.
Yo, be honest. Be like, you were the one person that got away when they buried Tutankhamun, right? You were the one person that got away.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Were you guys hanging out or something or what?
That's something. But you know what? For somebody that long, I would probably just ask just stories, man. Whatever stories you could, because I can only imagine the stories.
Everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody's got a story to tell. All you have to do is just ask them.
Yeah, that to me, it's the wealth that they bring as elders.
Of course.
Someone like that could probably have some amazing stories, man, of things that happen, and probably give you some straight, honest, great cutthroat wisdom that you should listen to. Like, yo, I was telling Caesar this way back in the time before his ass got killed. But he ain't listened to me. So I'm gonna give you this wisdom right now. I'm gonna be listening straight up. Like, you said Caesar? Okay, I'm listening. Okay.
I'll kick some words to you. Try to apprehend exactly what I'm saying, bro.
Yo, it's like I'm the one who created rap music. We were rapping in the 1900s and 1877. Yeah, you probably did. That would be cool as hell. But yeah, I remember. I think the oldest woman is like 114, and now this man being 112, and we're starting to see more.
Cougar, she could go after this guy.
Shit, she's the grandmom cougar. He might be a little too young for her.
She's a cougar. she invented the word cougar.
Yo, that's some shit to have that much age, and all of a sudden you figure yourself, someone can call you a cougar because your boyfriend's 90. 80.
The thing about it is because in the Bible, God says only the meek will inherit the earth. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be really meek to be still walking around here that age.
Shit, that's the age beyond age. Man, what is there to say? You know what I mean? Somebody, you've lived longer than the records of some nations. Like, wow, that's a long time.
I've seen a lot of countries change hands.
A lot of people. You ever seen the movie Benjamin Button?
Yeah.
The history of Benjamin Button, where the guy was living backwards. He was getting older. I mean, younger as he goes through life. That gave a certain perspective that's somewhat connected to what we're saying. Like that, you can if you can visually recite some of the issues that were going off on that time frame, like some of the wisdom, some of the experiences. Like in the 50s, we did this. On the 30s, this is what was going on in the 20s. You can relive these stories and share. It would probably be like the best verbal history, like a documentary type deal that you could ever get.
Well, you know the thing about it, that's the reason why I enjoy watching PBS,
Hmm.
because PBS have a lot of, really good content.
Yep.
Because like, huh?
If you can get purpose, some of us can't get it. It's not part of our district.
Get out PBS.
Some of us can't get PBS. They're not part of the network. It should be because it's supposed to be the
Public access.
public right. It's supposed to be, but you don't get that. You'll get in New Jersey. We don't get PBS. We get PBS from Delaware. We don't have a PBS.
Well, PBS. What I've come to find out, because it's PBS in different
It's a corporation.
areas. It's broken down. It depends on where you are, but they will have the word PBS, but it will be from Delaware, and it will be from different areas. Because I remember many years ago, I had a Dish network with multiple channels when I worked for Dish, and I saw PBS all across the nation in different markets, but they were all PBS. So I could watch a show over here and then jump across, and I will actually see it in the lineup later.
Right. Well, you know what?
It's in the market.
Right. Well, PBS being an own corporation, it was the public access of that day. It was through PBS, but it was still a public. It was a public owned broadcasting corporation. Right. They're broadcasting, so there was a separate company that was getting funded through the federal government to be able to grant information like that. That's why you saw so much. This was brought to you by this grant. This was brought to you by that grant. They would have telethons twice a year. It did such an amazing job, and that was the only way that somebody like Jim Henson was able to launch such a vivid concept of using monsters to teach children about civic responsibility and about their neighbors. It was the only way you can do that. So it was advantageous.
Because even when I was in Trinidad, we were watching public access TV, and it was coming straight from the States.
Mm-hmm.
You had like Sesame Street, Electric Company, and some of these others.
Yep. Mr. Rogers being
Rogers, exactly.
A very, I guess, future-minded individual that he was, soft-spoken, but he was a rebel. There was a lot of PBS based information. Like I said, I love PBS. I love
very good content.
Yeah, very good.
There's another one on there, Finding Your Roots. I don't know if you've ever watched that.
Henry Louis Gates. I know
exactly.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I liked Henry Louis Gates did this thing called. Let's see if I can remember. It was a series. It was talked about the evolution or the history of slavery in North America. It was a 3-part video documentary. I had early on. I made sure I got
about the Americas. I think that's what you were talking about. I remember that.
It was an amazing thing because it talked a lot of stuff that wasn't normally talked about, and he did a splendid job in that series. And then from there on, he connected with a lot of different sources to finding your genetic roots here and there, like that was a connection of ancestry.com and the different companies that were going out there to feed him. And he did so much research doing that. He was able to find that. Henry Louis Gates, my man, Scooter that's what the name they call him, Scooter, or Skip. Skip does an amazing job when it comes to that stuff. But
he loves that research, man. He loves that research, definitely, and it's blown a lot of people's mind.
Mm-hmm. You can get that similar research through the Schomburg Center of Black Studies in Harlem, New York. It's a part of the New York library system. The Schomburg Center, located in Harlem. It's a library comprised of a lifelong work that was done by a Puerto Rican man by the name of Arturo Schomburg that found all this information and looked into this information because as an Afro-Boricua, He was told very on in his life that there is no history for black people, and him and his sister believed elsewhere. They believed totally different. It was like, no, there is. And in their chance of through their lives finding out more about black history, they came together and created the largest library of black history, genealogy, archaeology on this side of the planet. And they were able to collaborate with the the New York library system, and created the Schomburg Center for Black Studies. If you go in their uh, genealogy department, you're able to register there and pay a small fee. I think you still can do that. And they'll research and give you all the same information that Dr. Henry Louis Gates is able to get you, as long as there is information there. The one thing I like about Henry Louis Gates is sometimes he goes on site to do extraordinary research that probably can't be done electronically, which is a lot different. But the Schomburg Centers offers you whatever they can get. They find a lot of great information for you. And I know Henry Louis Gates goes to the Schomburg Center.
Yeah, sometimes you have to travel to other countries in order to get it done, because not all of us, our blueprints are here in the States.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the guy I was talking to earlier today, he was from Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbados are tied directly, based on what Henry Louis Gates also said, to
Right.
South Carolina.
Right.
So you start from in South Carolina, you go straight back. Your roots will take you right back to Barbados.
Right.
In the Caribbean, so.
Well, in the very beginning, when he did the documentary I was talking about, he did about at least 3-4 hours specifically on a diamond trade, and how the islands, each one, including Trinidad, some areas in Colombia, some areas in the Central American region, in Brazil, and certain areas were locations where African slaves were sent because of the produce, the production of not only sugarcane but other elements that were able to be shipped out, and that's why the African slaves were implanted in those areas. But they tell you the one thing that I remember that resonated loudly to me is an island off the coast of Africa, off the coast of the Ivory Coast. I can't remember the island, but I remember the images they talked about. This was the last location where Africans that were taken off of the continent, the last location before they were shipped out into the New World. And there was the plantation, the world's largest plantation, that was owned by one man. His last name was De Souza. De Souza was the one Portuguese man who was the most wretched, egomaniacal plantation slave owner in the history of slave trading. He raped, pillaged, destroyed families, ripped people apart. He was the most horrible person on the planet. His last name was De Souza, and he owned a plantation right off of that same island. It was the most eerie thing, because De Souza is something that you hear every once in a while, Portuguese and Brazilian. You see that name, you never hear it. But when you hear, as it was the original name of the plantation owner and the slave owner that was most horrific and most scared, fearful, feared slave trader in the history of slaves. And it had such a large impact in Spanish-speaking countries because of the Portuguese having such a large imprint in Spanish-speaking countries, or countries that would eventually evolve into Spanish-speaking countries, like my mother, Puerto Rico, or in South America or Central America. De Souza had a major imprint of those areas, so he had a major imprint of the slaves that he brought there. So there's a lot of linkage.
A lot of slaves from there ended up down in Brazil, big time down there.
Oh yeah, second largest on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Second largest plantation went more to Brazil. It came to the United States and then over to Brazil.
Correct.
Largest, yeah. Well, speaking of Brazil, do you see that there's a large push now to remove that racist president Barlissimo?
Yeah, because he's what nicknamed the Trump of the South. That's the one I've been telling you about.
Yeah.
Trump of the South. A lot of these dictators, they're falling like dominoes now. When Trump was in office, a lot of them were actually, bolstering Trump and how Trump was the man and they like to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
India, Brazil, one down in Haiti also, because he was another dictator that a lot of people spoke about. The international community was trying to get him out of there.
Israel,
Benjamin Netanyahu, as much as
Yahoo.
he just they kicked the crap out of his ass and got him out of there with no problem.
Hell yeah.
Right out of there, the parties got together and they ousted him.
This is the only time in history that was talked about, reported, where you had a Muslim-based presentation or Muslim-based support system that collaborated with a Jewish mass to get him out.
He went to school in the United States, and the United States, he was taught here in the States, and then he went across there and took over things.
BB was no joke. My man was
fierce. Yeah, it was no joke.
He was dirty. He was deliberate about his arrogance. He was. I guess he was an English-speaking Putin.
Yeah,
Vladimir Putin's another one, but I guess that was the.
But see, with Putin, they can't get him out. Like Xi is going to be in there forever until he dies, because that's where they put him in a permanent position in China.
Mm-hmm.
And Putin is another one also, because anyone that actually goes against Putin ends up dead.
Hell yeah.
So that's a rough way to go when you're trying to run for the Olympics. Look at that other, the Olympics, but for for the presidency.
That's crazy. It's crazy how everyone who's ever come across or come against Putin has ended up either mortally damaged forever or dead.
Dead.
They don't do shit you see on TV. They have something that they've touched that gets in their system and eats away their bones on the inside.
Another one, like I told you, India. That's the reason why India has such a high rate of the coronavirus running through there. They're building an $800 million building in India, but yet the people are starving. A lot of the people there haven't been vaccinated. They were burning bodies like crazy until they started running out of wood.
And again,
ridiculous. And he envied the hell out of Trump also. These guys tried to use Trump, in order to run for office again. Bibi tried that. He's like, oh yeah, we're tied into the United States. We're so close. We're good with Donald Trump and the whole 9 yards. Yeah. He, look what Donald Trump did. He moved the freaking the embassy.
That was the bold slap on the face, and that's probably another thing that got Bibi kicked the hell out too, because the fact that he pushed and used the most hated, vitriolic president in modern days that the world just disliked. Didn't nobody like Trump, but the people who wanted to beat Trump.
I know. Yeah. The guy down in Brazil also, because they're trying to get him to hell out of there. Mm-hmm. Big time, because those people are dying like crazy. The vaccine hasn't gotten to too many people down there. Very low rate of vaccination in Brazil. And then they look at America and they say, look at America. They were going through the same thing, but they pulled themselves out of it. But look at us. We're dying like crazy.
Mm-hmm. But you're talking about vaccinations, though. There's still no data about our U.S. military. How many have been vaccinated? There is no data. It's not even pushed or being encouraged to our U.S. military. How the fuck is that? I'm still trying to bug out. What about that? What's up? What's up? They vaccinated in the beginning. They get vaccinations as they come in, as they do tests to keep them as healthy as possible, as especially when it comes to being sent out missions here and there or being shipped out. They have to be vaccinated before they go. But you haven't heard anything about vaccination.
I heard there was a very large percentage, like close to 60%, haven't been vaccinated in the military. It was a very high number.
So, with all that being said, I'm still trying to figure out how does all this data that people keep touting that 60% of Americans. How can you get to that number?
They're trying to get to what they call herd immunity at 70%.
Right.
Right now they say that New Jersey is like leading the pack at 67%.
Yeah.
To get to that herd immunity. But at the same time, Mo, they open back up the casinos, but then the smoking. Because now you have a Delta variant that's out here, but then you decide to put smoking right back into play. So people, how it's just, like
that to me,
an ass wipe type of thing.
Oh my God! If it ain't ass backwards, to me that sounded like the most foolish. They were like, "Fuck it, just do anything you want to. There is no more prohibition. There's no more
That's
law."
crazy. You have a variant running around out here, but you're gonna say, "Hey, look, we're gonna." And based on what I've read earlier, is that some of the other states, they still have no smoking on the casino floor, and they're doing just as well.
Hmm.
Gamblers are going to gamble because they got to get their gamble on whether they smoke or not. But the casinos and stuff, and Murphy and those guys, they're like, look, lift the smoking ban, let them go back up inside there and start smoking all over, you know.
Well, they know they have the research that's been done in the early '60s about casinos that was been around the world, and it's the same concept. They know that if you enclose people, wealthy people, any human beings, you give them certain luxuries that give them like alcohol, enclose the rooms, take the clocks out, feed them every once in a while so they don't have to leave. Let them deal with their vices. So you smoke. Smoking and drinking always seems to be together all the time. The more they smoke, the more they drink, the more they spend their money. They're trapped in there. They don't see the clock. They don't have to leave. They can eat foods within footsteps of whatever they're playing. It's all a trap to keep you in there so you can become as poor as me and just lose everything.
Do you remember many years ago when the sands were open? I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. I believe it's Leonard Till that actually lost the Philadelphia Eagles
Hmm.
gambling,
Hmm.
in Atlantic City. And then he turned around and then tried to sue the casino because they said that they pumped him up with a whole lot of liquor.
Hmm. There was a lot of lawsuits early on about that same situation in the early days of Atlantic City. It was the luster. There was a lot of alcohol, and then there was a lot of other drugs that we have. That was a discussion I just recently had with in a a news a person from the Philadelphia Press had called me, Philadelphia Inquirer, um, inquiring about the pending problem or the pending situation with the needle exchange program that we have here in Atlantic City. And I told her, I said, historically, saying casinos have always been looked at for thrills and highlights and everyone having a good time. However, they don't necessarily want to also engage in the realities that those good times sometimes have dark sides to them. They don't want to engage in the concept that someone who equates drugs to having a good time comes down to a casino, wants to spend lots of money, then they want to feel high, they want to get drugs. So drugs seem to always accompany this type of lifestyle also, not for everyone, but to a few people, enough to have it create a necessity for that ecosystem. So you'll have drug dealers funneling drugs for these people that want it, and they have a consistent flow. And then you have people who abuse it, or people have used it and then succumb to some other issue, some other life-threatening illness, and then it becomes a need. So the industry loves to look and shine on the good parts, but they don't want to fess up and own up to the dark sides. And some of them throw little bits and pieces towards covering it up. There are bits and pieces towards helping some people through their struggles, but they never want to claim that what they're presenting is also part of the problem because one always seems to follow another.
Correct. It complements the other one.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, it's an ongoing discussion, and we say it all the time. When you have casinos and give you that image, that facade of being overwhelming abundance and money, and it's true, there's lots of money there. But how do you have this casino that has billions of dollars in it just 10, 15 feet away from a community that are barely holding on to $10 themselves as a community, and then thinking there's not a problem. There's a problem,
Yeah, there's a wealth disparity there, big time.
big time, big time. And so I guess that's where they try to create this city in a city thing. We figure they can bring the people in and we'll bring a land bridge over top of the community so you can just ride right into the casino from the expressway. You don't ever have to worry about seeing anyone who's local. Great. We'll put all the stuff, the amenities in the casino district away from residents. You will never have to see anyone that lives here. You will never have to see anyone who has suffered through the hardships that Lang City has. You know, that's what they want to keep promoting. What? It's going to take us.
Well, with that smoking stuff, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because like I say, COVID is still out here. So basically they're looking at a spike probably come fall again.
Yeah. I've never been comfortable with smoking. Never. My mother was like, my mother smokes forever, and that shit irritates me. I can't stand the smell of cigarettes or cigars. It's just not me. I don't like it. I don't want it. I never want around it. It stains clothing, teeth, clothes, everything. It just changes. don't like it at all. I mean, to each their own, but I don't like how it.
Speaking about smoking, what do you think about that young lady?
Sha'Carri Richardson?
Since we were smoking. Puff, daddy.
I was heartbroken because I was waiting. I was waiting to see her go against Kellyanne Price. I was waiting to see. You have the grandmother of track and field. I say grandmother because she's 37 now, and she's still a flame. She's still as fast as ever, and been the pivotal person, the one person to beat for what three Olympics now. So that's Olympics every 4 years. So that's what 12 years.
Correct.
She's been the queen of the realm. So Sha'Carri Richardson coming in at
that young lady, she's like a flame, boy. I'm telling you,
she's amazing. Her speed.
I know.
And when you look at her, like I had to sit down and watch a few races and listen to the commentary, and I start recognizing what they were saying. She just has raw power. She doesn't have form yet. Like when she takes off, she makes mistakes, and sometimes she doesn't launch fast enough on the from the gate, and her rise and stands. Sometimes she stands
picks up that pace, man. She picks up that pace before she,
And she said halfway through, she starts to get connect, and when she connects, that's when all her raw speed, and then she blazes past everybody.
I know. I saw that. I'm like, wow, this thing is like a whirlwind, like a freaking tornado.
She's amazing. I was like, oh my God. And I was waiting. I was like, I love how she's very flamboyant. Her hair, her nails, and all the stuff, the tattoos, whatever. It's flamboyant. It just shows the pompous world that people are people regardless of how they look, and she's still gonna whoop everybody's ass. But when I found out that she was tested for marijuana, all I kept thinking was, that's it? Marijuana? I mean, it's an antiquated law. It's understood it's law, and she understood too. And that's why she was like, yeah, I did it. I understand. I made the mistake, and you'll see me again soon. She put her big girl panties on and stood up respectively, and many people appreciated that. I was disappointed just because I wanted to see her greatness continue.
A lot of people wanted to see her out there. A lot of people.
Yeah, they're saying 2 million people already signed a petition. I'm like, the Olympic Committee don't give a shit about 2 million people.
They don't give a damn about that. Hell no. I mean, they're like, rules need to be followed, and you follow our rules because we're running the program here.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, once you hit that gold medal status or that bronze, they get paid serious money for that.
Yeah.
The Olympic Committee, and the advertisements and the whole 9 yards, but they pick up about $1 million plus for a gold medal. They have to pay taxes on that, come to find out also. So I want a piece of that winnings.
Right. I remember watching when they were in Rio, right? There was so much discussion about how the Olympics impacts the economy, impacts the people, the demands on the area, that I looked at it from the business aspect. Like I said, growing up, you watch the Olympics, it's like, wow, all the runners, the sports is cool as hell, nice and hell. You don't see how much of an economic boom it is. It's a big ass parasite. It draws so much from the local areas. Like it demands stadiums be built where there is no.
Correct. Exactly.
They don't fit the bill. It's the area that hosts it. They don't pay for shit. This committee only has stuff that you can't touch.
They got a lot of
wording, and then the schedule. That's it. Someone else runs it. Someone else pays for everything, and all they decide is where. It's the biggest scam on the planet, and everyone seems to follow it. It's a shame, but I saw how Brazil, they were basically gentrifying whole communities with millions of people out just so they can build the super
Exactly, I
soccer
saw
stadium.
that. Yeah, and after the Olympic committee left and the Olympics are done, these things are just sitting there. These
Yep,
buildings are just sitting there.
yep.
Who's going to dismantle it? What are you going to do with it? You can't make it a homeless shelter because there's no freaking roof on it.
Nope. There's not enough economy to withstand having shows or tournaments there.
That's crazy.
Not enough people to actually see the games and stuff like that. So it's amazing. So for it to take place in Tokyo, Tokyo is limited in space. Last time I checked, Japan ain't but so big.
Exactly.
In Tokyo,
And they just finished having a mud landslide recently that ran through over there, and now the
exactly.
emergency shutdown.
Yeah,
You remember, yeah, you have to wonder about the tsunami over there at the same damn time. There's a lot to worry about to keep in your mind.
yeah. So Sha'Carri might be doing herself a favor and staying home.
I think so. I
But
think so. I mean,
you see how cleverly she was also not chosen for the relay team.
I know. Convenient, so convenient. They're like, look, we're just going to ban her all the way around,
I was like, that was kind of foul, and that was done by it wasn't even done by the Olympic Committee. It was the American team, the American Olympic Society or Committee over top of the Olympics from America. They're the one that chose them. That chose not to have her. I was like, that's kind of foul. She could have came in at the very end, which was past the 30-day suspension, and then blazed past everybody and did a miraculous win and had a world record on this shit.
But look at it from another standpoint too, Mo, because you have to also look at, when she was actually, doing the tryouts, she beat a whole lot of these jokers from the get-go, for her to make it to the freaking, Tokyo Olympics and for them to cancel out. So she've already beat a competition here in the United States.
Not even trying. That was the cool shit.
So it's just that she did not get on the world stage, but here doing the tryouts, she beat everybody else. So she is the best here in the United States by far. There's no doubt about it.
That's why she said we'll see everybody in the Worlds. I said that's going to be something. Whenever the World Cup or whatever it's called, the World Games.
Well, the World Cup is soccer, so
I was trying to remember what the term when they all come together. It's like an Olympics, but it's just different. It's not the Olympic Society. Whenever the Worlds is the World Championships, she'll be there and she's going to wreck shop. I also saw. I don't know if you noticed the young brother, 17 years old, who broke Usain Bolt's record. 17 years old. Broke his world record. Elian, I think it's Elian Knight. I think is his name. He came behind Noah Lyles, right? And he beat Noah Lyles earlier, and then he lost to Noah Lyles in the final. This young brother is skinny. His upper body has no strength. You can see it. It's all legs. And he runs like a lightning with all legs. Imagine if he starts developing his upper strength for his motion, his push motion, how much faster he'll be. He was running like lightning. He beat Usain Bolt's world record early. He beat it as a junior. Then he became a professional athlete. Then a week later, his first match or his first run, he hits the world record again. I was like 17 years old. I said, damn, this kid is going to be amazing. He's not even peak yet. He's going to be amazing. I was like, yo,
Alison Felix is back up inside of there as being a mom.
I love how she came back out.
Yeah, that's my girl there. Alison
love how she came back. What was it? Her sponsors dropped her because she was pregnant. She said, I'm going to have this child, and came back with her own line.
I know. She has her own line. Yeah.
I love it. She said, not only am I going to have my baby, I'm going to have my own company. I'm going to get all this stuff. And then she won. Then she won medals. I was like, that's how you do it. Love it.
Exactly. Come back and represent big time for yourself.
Happy for her. Love it. But again, like, still,
but you see that race card being played every now and then. There's no look at Vanessa Williams, because that came to mind when you was talking about Sha'Carri just now. You see what I'm saying? When Vanessa Williams, when she actually became the first Black Miss America, then they turned around and they actually blackballed her by the pageantry, the pageant committee.
Yeah.
Then later on, they come to find out that there was a whole lot of women prior to her that was doing that all along, but they never did anything.
There were so many scandals, man. Being in the position that I am, working and then seeing the Miss America organization, it came clear what kind of organization it was to me, and I'm like, yo, y'all full of shit, you know. And that stuff that they did with her with the pictures, I mean, what she did, it was nude, okay, but it was tasteful, you know. It's nude, but it was tasteful, it was artistic. But they try to connect it with what they wanted to say was the image of Miss America, but you weren't actually accepting the image that you were hiding about so many of your Miss Americas before. One was a heroin fiend. Correction. One was alleged to have had been addicted to drugs. Then you have some who have alleged to have had children and held them with other family members. You had others that were adulterous, allegedly. A lot of allegations about different stuff came about later on. But then as things go on, you had the Miss Suzette Charles became the Miss America,
Correct.
and then from there on, more and more women of color became Miss America. Miss World International was black. What's it called? Miss Universe.
Miss Universe, correct.
Quite a few Miss Universes.
Yeah, but look at the people behind that Miss Universe. It was Donald Trump. He was a freaking guy behind Miss Universe.
I think no, I don't think it was Miss Universe. I think he has one. He owns one, but I don't know if it's Miss Universe. I think it's the other one. Because you notice they came up. You had one that was Miss America, and then you had one
that's off the table, huh?
But I was gonna say, because when it comes to pageants, there's always more than one. Like Miss America is the one we know a lot of, but then they had Miss USA, then Miss Teen USA, Miss.
Yeah, it wasn't Miss USA, and it wasn't Miss Teen USA, and it wasn't Miss America. It was that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, based on what I've seen.
Right. I don't know I don't know either which way, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he owned one, and it was biased as hell. You know, he wanted to have it. It was a big flop too. He had it in Vegas, and then try to have someplace else. A big flop. Again, prostitution at another level. It's a pimp trying to show off his women.
Yeah, but speaking of pimp, you see he's trying to sue Facebook, Twitter.
I was laughing at that. I was like, my man, no matter how rich you think you are, you ain't coming close to what Mark Zuckerberg is wealthy wise. Influence and information too. Yo, don't get him on his
wrong. He can't. I mean, this guy has lost his yacht. He's lost a lot. You know, he peddled steaks. He's peddled water. He's lost his yacht. He's filed for bankruptcy a number of times. I mean, how many times can you lose, man? That's what I'm saying.
Big scammer all the time. The one thing he was trying to hold on to that I think is being seized now is Trump Towers in the Kremlin in Russia. He was trying to hold on to Trump Towers, Russia, big time. And I think Vladimir, when he lost, was like, nope, that's mine.
Yeah, there's another one. I think down in Panama also, there was another building with his name on it, and people were living in there, and they yanked his name off of there, changed everything.
Yep. It's like all of his properties internationally seem to be falling.
But in Vegas, in this county, it's called Lyon County, in Nevada, in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
They want to name a street after him, a road. You know, so a lot of people was online saying, yeah, I put on there, that would probably be the very short road. Some people say it's the road to hell. You know what I'm saying? You know, so you see a lot of stuff coming down the pipe with that one.
If I was to consider naming a street off of him, it would have to be something that's a dead end.
People say that's a dead end, you know. Or the road to hell. This is the road that leads to hell with a dead end.
That's it. That's it. That would be the most symbolic gesture when you're talking about naming a street. Yep, a dead end. And at the end of the street, that's a dead end. It's a garbage can.
Some people say, you know, there's a garbage dump, you know, a sewage plant at the end of the street.
The sludge plant. Yeah, sludge plant.
But it's in Lyon County. Get a little name.
Lion ass.
Lyon County, yeah, name a road after him. I mean, that might be appropriate in their own eyes.
I don't know. But we will see. We will see. But I was noticing, like I said, there's a lot of various things that are popping up. And that one thing about Trump, they're still betting. You see how they're betting how his daughter will be the one to turn on him? Because he raised his kids to be independent, away from family and do all that stuff, being self-sufficient, that they're actually making a bet that Ivanka will be the first to turn on her father. So, yo, that would be something. That would be that would be a tragedy,
Remember, she
a
don't want to
Viking
hit.
tragedy.
She has a husband. She has a kid. She don't want to hit a prison cell.
Yeah,
So more likely she'll make that sacrifice.
yeah. Being allegedly molested by her dad so many different times, but yeah, this would be the Viking tragedy. This will be the end dilemma that the story's been told for years. The king was done on by his own daughter.
I know. Just stick a fork in them, huh?
Yeah, he's done. And I'm still waiting to see how that report comes in. A lot of information was gathered by his CFO. A lot of information. I mean, they're guarding his ass, so we'll see.
Yeah, but the CFO, it was a relative that actually turned over all of those documents to the feds.
You know that you see how that dumbass was actually on at when he was doing a rally. He was actually admitting to the shit he says. Like, who knows that buying a car was you have to pay taxes on it?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Don't
Who
you
knows?
remember when they admit on TV and stuff?
Mentioning all, he was like admitting to the shit. I was like, yo, you got no one to tell you shut the fuck up. You don't just keep opening your mouth. You just make it too easy to get locked up.
Sure, I think one of the classic ones is Rudy. Because not only that they suspended his license in New York, they want to do it in DC. And I think they're just going to hit county, state by state by state. They will be canceling. Then
That's
at
karma.
the end of it, they're going to throw him in jail. That's what they're going to do.
That's karma. That's like the group of people that try to take over DC, sending special emails. Can you pardon me? He was like, nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
Exactly.
Rudy Giuliani, can you pardon me? Nope.
You was the guru, and I was following you.
Dumbass. Nope. Yo, did you see recently in Philadelphia you had a parade of white supremacists?
I know. I checked that out. That's crazy.
I was like,
But I heard those white supremacists was actually chased by some of
the people.
Philadelphians.
You know what's crazy though? Every time you see a group of people like that, they're all like dressed like overaged Boy Scouts. They look like that what is it, World War II image of youth army.
Yeah.
It's always the same shit. Covers in the face and the guy. Every time you always hear assholes yell out a whole bunch of stuff, but then you'll hear lots of people with smart ass comments. He's like, if you guys are so proud of being white supremacists, take your mask off. If you're not worried about the stuff you're marching, take your mask off. Why not?
But that's like telling the KKK remove their hood if you're so proud of being who you are.
Yep. And it was when they did it, it was bold as hell, but they did it. Those are the ones you got to be concerned about. These cowards with their face covered, please. They lightweight. They were scared as hell. All they were doing was screaming at them, and then they started breaking. They were fearful for their lives, dumbass.
They started running like crazy. But what about that guy in Malta? Was it Malta, New Jersey? That was yelling and screaming all type of obscenities at his neighbor.
He said, "Come at me, come see me." Yeah, they came.
The part that got me more is when he says, "Here goes my address. Come and pay me a visit," and they did. And they did, and then some.
And now he's on national press apologizing. I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry. I wouldn't.
Nah, player.
Nah,
that's not gonna go over like that.
You fucked up. Nope. But you see the masses of people that morning. There was a lot. There was some local people there. There was some people from here there, and they would vote. And I didn't know what the hell was really going on. And I got the backstory of his tirade. I mean, when you got somebody like that, he's like, I was drinking this way. I said, okay, the alcohol in the system, trying to get brave, and all of a sudden, the shit that he says out of his mouth is what he truly feels. He's out his mouth feeling a certain type of way. So I'm like, this is the karma. When all these other people throwing shit at him, I was like, I'm glad that I saw people there because you didn't just see black people, but white people there too.
No.
There was a lot of people.
His address, bro. He gave these people his address. On TV, walks up to the camera and says, "Come and pay me a visit," and they did.
Yep.
Happy you. But it sucks to be you at the same time.
When he said, "Come see me," they came see him already.
They came to see every bit of him.
You imagine him waking up the next morning with a hangover. I
don't even see him waking up the next morning with a hangover because after when they came pay him a visit, he got hungover immediately. To tell you the truth.
Oh man, he woke the hell up.
Was done.
He was sober. Yep, that was hilarious. I was like,
people come and
that's
see
what you get. Yeah, that's what you get for being a dumbass and coming
Yeah,
out
you
your
want to be bold, you want to be brazen. You know what I'm saying? Put it through the test.
mouth. I was like, that was Shaq and a fool in the non-basketball arena. You a dumbass for coming out your mouth saying what you did, boldly thinking that nobody's gonna come at you. No. Now these days, we're coming.
We said that last week. All of these people who are out there saying, "Oh yeah, come pay me a visit. I'm this, that, and the other thing." People are going to challenge you these days.
Hell yeah. Just
Let's see if you can hang in there.
and it's the Trump effect. Just like you had fragile white supremacists out here willing to stand up, proudly call you a N-word and try to get in your face, and all these Karens acting up the way it is. You get the same energy in reverse. The minute one of you come out your mouth and say something derogatory, you're gonna have an army of people behind and stepping in your face because you just said it boldly. You're gonna get the same energy, if not stronger. Don't come out your face not willing to take what comes back. Mm-mm.
Yeah, you get up there and you tell people come pay you a visit, man. That's when I saw that, I automatically I says he's going his work cut out for him.
But
He's got his work cut out for him.
you hear the cases were changed. The charges would change from one day to the next.
Yeah,
The initial charges had to say like terroristic threats, and I forget exactly. And then it went up, and then now it's a hate crime. I was like, oh shit. Now that it's considered a hate crime, bro, you about to do at least 10, 15 years opening your mouth.
yeah. Because what they got him on some basic stuff just to get him all out of the public. Then since they had him in custody, things were just accumulating while he was there. So they were researching everything and the different laws that he's violated.
Yep. Somebody at a higher level said, "Nah, you better not let him go.
Yeah.
You let him go without charging him."
They took it to another level.
That was funny, but that's what he gets. Karma's real. Come out your mouth brave. You got to be ready. What's coming back at you?
Every single day. Every single day.
Yeah.
People going to challenge you. So just buck up. Either put up or shut up, like they used to say back in the day.
Buck up, bucko. That's right. Yeah, man. But listen, it's now 25 minutes after 10. We've been on for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Or I've been on for 3 hours and 20 minutes. So it was hard. It was hard.
I was supporting the community.
Yeah. Of course. But it's good to see you again. But I'm going to say let's close out for the week, and we'll go again. What I wanted to do was prepare folks by giving them information about the hurricane, what to prepare for, how to prepare for. I think what I'll do is I'll do it in the commentary section next week with some presentations, when some sort of like picture presentation, some sort of presentation that way, a video file, so people can look at it just in case they weren't aware of how to prepare for hurricane, who to contact for hurricanes, for weather anomalies that you have to be concerned about when you potentially have to evacuate in any crisis situation. Where do you go to? A better place to get your weather information, how to look at it. I'll try to work on that for next week. So
what I'll do, I want to reach out to you tomorrow. What's a good time to reach out to you? Just let me know. I'll give you a call. Let me know what you have in mind, and I could actually simulate the same thing and put it online.
Okay.
So make it very easy, because it would be very easy for me to do it. Whereas I could create a hyperlink that they could actually click, and it will take them straight to additional information. So if someone wants, general information on, what to do and how to do it, or what to have during a hurricane or before hurricane, all of that stuff will be there on the website. All they have to do is just click and go, and we'll take them to everything instead of having. So I will definitely give you a call tomorrow.
Okay. So tomorrow afternoon we touch base and see what we got to go from there. Okay.
Yeah, do it that way.
Okay.
Do you have any events that's coming up that you need to put out there also? Because someone sent me a message earlier. Wiggins Park in Camden, New Jersey. I believe it's on the 17th, from I believe 2 o'clock until 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. in Camden. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to be having another Caribbean event there.
Okay.
Festival in Camden.
Your boy was supposed to come soon, wasn't he?
Which one?
From the Caribbean Festival last year? That's been doing it here in the city?
Oh, Anthony. Yeah, he just sent me something, but this is another friend of mine also that's You
Okay,
know,
somebody else. Right, right.
another Trinidadian guy. He has, he's affiliated with the one in Camden.
Okay.
Then you have, Anthony has the one in Atlantic City. Then they have another one, Penn's Landing in Philly.
Right, right, right.
So then you have the big one in New York, probably, this year also, Labor Day. So I want to see what's going to happen there.
All right. So the more and more we gather, the more information we gather, the more we share for people.
Yeah, I'll just put it on the website. So I'm going to be on there tomorrow, putting things up there. But I'll definitely be in contact with you.
Okay.
So you can go there and see some of the events.
That's
What's
right.
going on? And if you know of any event or anyone out there, get in contact with us. I'll be glad to put it online for you.
Yep. We're a conduit, as I said before earlier. We try to be a conduit of information, more accurate, more reliable information that's helpful. Yep.
My friend earlier that I was talking to, I'm gonna try to see if I could get him online, on here. To be, I'm interested, as far as the Caribbean music, and I came about the whole 9 yards. So
right,
that's what I can actually do with these guys. Give them a little bit of exposure.
Please have them come on the line, and we can talk about it and expose.
Yeah.
Give them some more exposure to people who may be interested and curious and just doesn't know, so they can be more ground into more viable information. May want them to come up, celebrate.
Yeah, he plays the casinos here and there, with the calypso, music, the whole 9 yards. So I was trying to see if I could talk him into coming on board, check everything out.
That's right. Okay. Sounds good. Well, bro, say a few words, man, in closing.
Well, like he says, COVID is real, like we always say, and just play it safe. Have a nice weekend.
Mm-hmm.
A good night and a pleasant tomorrow.
Yep.
Just be safe. And like I've always said, you know the deal, Mo. Be positive and test negative. Because that's what it's all about. It's called life. This thing's not over. We're taking it for granted now because everybody's running back out here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
I'm not going to chop up your saying because so far 2 weeks I think about it too much and get it wrong. We want everyone to be healthy. We want to make sure everyone is sane and in a prosperous mode. There's too many reasons these days people find to be somber, sad, dragging, or whatever. And that's not necessarily helping the situation get any better for yourself. So if there's a thing that you can do, someone you can talk to, a family member that you can spend a little time with, please do so. And I want to remind you, next time you see your mom, give her a big hug for me. She may not know me, but I want you to hug her real hard for me. And I want you not to hug her just once. Let go and hug her again just for herself. Too many of us have lost our moms. Too many of us are struggling through mourning of losing our moms. And I want you to fill your mom up with as much love as possible and let that love continue to shine throughout the community. I've told people before, my mom has enough love for everybody. In case you don't have your mom anymore, go see Mercedes. She got a big hug and some words for you. She'll treat you like her own child as well. As I was raised, if I have a plate of food, we got a plate of food we can all eat. I want everyone to be prosperous, enjoy themselves. We're in hurricane season. We'll be prepared for anything. It's also summer. It's a time for us to breathe, live outside a little bit more, and enjoy each other one more. Please test negative, be positive. Let's live life. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for stopping by as long as you have. We'll look forward to next week. We'll have some more discussions. If there's any topics you'd like to share with us, you're welcome to visit our website, www.newnorm.club, and come on and share some information. As I said a little earlier, it's a lot of great information, not only a resource where you can get information, but it's also a place you can visit, the Cyber Mall, if you're looking for unique, peculiar items that people and services that are provided for the community and some other things and business owners. We try to be a conduit of good information, valid information. We're a supporter of minority businesses, supporter of empowerment and self-love and loving one another. So if there's something that we can do to help, please come out and visit, come out and check us out. It's important that we all stay together. And remember, as we go along, let me see if I can get all the other banners. Please stay connected. You're welcome to just reach out. And until next time, stay in love and peace.
Yeah. Take care, folks.
Closing.